Alrighty, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. We've been talking about this for years. It's kind of crazy to be sitting in the room with all you guys. Was going to start out soft, but decided to just dive off the deep end today with my lovely wife and I here. We have my buddy, my brother from another mother,
Yes, sir.
Eric of 8 Sacred Paths, and today's topic is going to be the esoteric, the woo-woo, hippy-dippy, which admittedly, younger Chris, if you had come at me with chakras and energy work and yoga, I would have laughed at you. It probably called you some very non-politically correct names. So I should mention as well, by the way, we have the alpha audio engineer, Jason Glasgow, in the house here. He made so much of this possible. So thank you, brother man, for being here and hooking this shit up. It's fucking rad.
So,
Absolutely. Good to be here.
Yes.
Are you going to say what the name of this is?
Oh, yeah, I guess I probably should bring that up. So if you follow me on Instagram, the Zen Meathead or Zen Meathead, right now it's kind of a personal, just like what's going on in my life, but that's going to morph here pretty quickly. TheZenMeathead.com is up. Not that there's much there yet, but that will be the podcast's main website. And then coming soon, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all that crazy nonsense. So with that, I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about you, Eric. We met, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah,
probably.
about that.
I used to do a lot of men's group work, and a buddy of ours, mutual friend Spencer, introduced us. And I was at a point in my life where I wasn't really happy with the way shit was going.
Yeah, you were a little different than you are today. Speaking of which, congratulations on the shift. Yeah, yeah, things have dynamically shifted in a different direction. It's interesting to see you go from that more of that, like, the beer drinking tough guy, like because you're always the biggest guy in like every room you go in, so like you have this like presence, and to go from that guy to who you are today has just been such a beautiful transformation. It's been awesome to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. It's largely in part due to your fine tuning work.
Hey, well, you got to have that modern application of these esoteric principles to make them make sense, or else it's just a bunch of shit in a book, and nobody really cares about that.
Yeah,
You know?
if you can't integrate it into day-to-day life, it's stupid.
Exactly. That was exactly what we were talking about before. Like, this kind of got recording
Let's bring that mic up towards your face a little bit more.
was bring in things that you cultivate on the mat or in your own personal life outside, and where does that fit? What areas of life? How does because everybody integrates things differently. You know, how people validate a moment or validate themselves and they make a change is different from person to person. So how does each individual person go about approaching that topic? So it's been really interesting to see as you've come in and you've branded your own version of what esoterics mean, what the woo-woo, hippity-dippity side actually means to you without losing yourself, without losing your initial core essence, which is awesome. Because, I'm steeped in the esoteric community. So I hang around with people that, like, they call themselves fucking Tiger Lily and stuff. Like, their name is obviously Janet or something, but they have this like ideology that they've created around this persona, and it's very refreshing to be around both of you. That's what's so lovely to see you two here and do this is you have a very fresh outlook on what actually works versus what's like the narrative being told around what this stuff needs to look like, what a practice actually is and isn't, what healthy diet is, what a healthy life is. And to watch you two become a power couple the way you are, it's pretty badass.
I agree.
Well, it's just, I guess the goal of this is to kind of demystify all of this because, I look at myself as not great at anything, but what I do well is bridge communities. And it's funny, in today's day and age, we've got a lot of the left versus right and politics and COVID, all kinds of shit that just, quite frankly, I don't care where you land on the spectrum. It probably doesn't feel very good if you're tuned in.
Yeah.
So starting to have those conversations. And I think this is a great analogous subject, hippy dippy Zen Eastern stuff versus Western, you go to the doctor, you have cancer, you get chemotherapy, this and that. Starting to have, some of these big alpha troglodyte alpha males like, hey, what's your thing against yoga? Like energy work, these kinds of things. Like, why is it so scary? Like, and that's how I started. Like you said, I was a big frat fuck boy. I used to party and drink 7 days a week. Seriously, we were just nodding.
Yep.
I lived to
Every day
work. And then it was the gym and the bar, and that's all it was.
Survival mindset.
Yeah. If you didn't have,
it was a fight, fuck, or feed. He didn't
Exactly.
really care about it. Sort of deal, you know what I mean?
If you
very
weren't-
primal in the cortex,
very amygdala based.
yeah, I mean, it was, but as I started to make that transition, it was funny too, because a lot of my friends all of a sudden, kind of started to back up a little bit like, what?
Well, it's interesting you said bridge, because that's what it was about. It's the polarities of those two fields, like you were talking about, the woo-woo side and this very like right-wing and left-wing kind of ideology, any polarity you see in life, male and female, whatever it is. But the integration of both, that's the art. How do you bridge those two fields? That's the point of equanimity. And that's what I've been working with you on. So specifically for about, 8 years. I'd say we jumped into this because that's when we started that program. It was about 8 years ago. So
Has it been that long?
You've been on an 8-year cycle because we're just ending it.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's been a whole renunciate cycle we had to go through of service and everything. So,
dude, this actually, that's a great segue. I have a question for you because, you know, I don't tend to share this side of the work that I do. You know, I'll talk a lot about yoga because it's pretty mainstream, or like men's groups work or therapy, these kinds of things, more classically accepted modalities. Oftentimes the people that want to hear about it, they're like, hey, you know, you always talk about your hippy dippy, your woo-woo doctor. Like, what do you guys do? And I'm like, oh, there's like some tuning forks and like, I feel certain things. Like, I feel like an ape with a crayon. Like how you being the, you know, part of the 8 sacred paths, your business with your father, how would you, if you were going to do like a quick sales pitch on like what it is you guys do, what would you say you do?
Well, we're esoteric consultants when you kind of zoom out of it. That's what we do. We take fields of like astrology and your own breakup, and we show you the modern application of that using different modalities. So for yours, what you specifically worked on, what we do there is you come in, we work on transference work of energy. And so what happens is we essentially trade what you're holding. So say you go out and you party hard that week. You'll come in, and because of the lifestyle that I live, I'm off in the freaking forest meditating, kissing the goddamn stars 90% of the time. You know, I'm just Captain fucking woo-woo. I rarely leave the mountain, if you will. I only actually leave as a level as what's called satsang, which is our sacred service, which is what 8 sacred paths is. It was an 8-year cycle of where we were enunciating of our ability to essentially go on our own yogic journey and decide to teach people. So what you were experiencing was that, and we took 32 people, and we decided, okay, we're going to make you yogis. We're going to show you the true art. And it's 32 because it equals a 5, which is part of a karma yoga, which is what I do. So it's part of the numerology and all the fun. Like I said, it's a multifaceted field. But when you come in, I guess we'll keep that simple, is I'm going to do an accugraph on you, which is what I'm going to show is your bioelectric field. Kind of like how the earth has these points where there's magnetics and you can pick up different energy hotspots. Your body's got the same shit going on. Okay, they figured this out a long time ago at TCM with acupuncture and stuff. But we use a device that reads the electronic signal coming out of your body because not everybody likes to be poked with needles. It's not really the common narrative of, poke me every time you come in and see what the hell's going on with me. Like,
you should buy me dinner first, at
exactly.
least.
Exactly. Archaic.
Pull my hair.
Better. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So we do that, and we kind of see how your body's metabolizing your outside world in real time. So it's not so much just, hey, this astrological movement's going on. Be careful of this and this, which is really predictive astrology stuff, which I think is a bunch of snake oil horse shit. You know, it's too much of this ideology that everybody's saying that this person's dealing with this. You don't know what they're dealing. It's so complex. Each individual person, how their power of choice is being exercised, dictates how their energetic body is either going in or out. So we have to now analyze that and go, okay, based on this analysis, how do we bring sound into their body to create a state of choice again, where they have a balanced point between 2 points of polarity where they're choosing equanimity, which is why we'll get in these funky ass conversations that they're kind of irrelevant, to be honest with you, but they bring up an emotional palpability in the room, which is what we need to create a segue. And once the emotional body's open, then we begin to do transference work, because both of you know how to do breath work, for example. That's the first thing I teach everybody. I show everybody how to do a breath work so we can unify. That's the first thing. We have to trust each other and actually become transparent and feel each other.
So that's the kind of like tuning into each other's energy in the room.
Exactly. Then the pathway's open where we can then go, okay, now we do transference, because that's what I specialize in. Like, if you ask my dad what he does, it's completely different. He's like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not taking on people's shit. Fuck you. Like, he would never fucking do that. He's like, you're a fucking crazy ass. See, I got bored in my yoga. And so I need something to work on, because I essentially taught myself every primary series and mastered every posture in yoga. So I go, okay, now my body's completely open.
Now what do I want to do?
Yeah, I was fucking bored, and I'm like a glutton for punishment. I need shit to work on. So I just when I decided I'm going to find people who astrologically line up to where I can help them, and we can begin to do transference work where I'll kick them peace, they kick me some chaos, and this is how we're going to feed each other, because it gives me something to work on. People come with neck pain or lower back stuff or anxiety, insecurity, whatever the hell it might be. And we do this transference, and I take that shit home and I bring it back into balance for fun.
Oh yeah, so basically I come
So
in.
the energy ninja work we do.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So I come in after a shitty day and dump all my garbage on you, and you literally take that energy in, and then you go out into the woods and do your shit and just like, and turn it into good stuff.
Or sometimes I'm stuck on the ground in front of the heater because I took on too much like a dumb shit, and somebody was really into some dark shit that week, and I was like, well, this was dumb, and I'm nauseous, and it's a whole alchemy game where you're actually participating with the ideas of balance and imbalance, or light and dark. So as somebody who practices equanimity or the center point, to be around harsh polarities, that's my goal. That's why I have all these random ass hobbies that I do and the shit that I do that it requires. You're either epic pass or epic fucking fail. It's one or the other, and you better hold your shit.
You're going in the deep end, son.
That's it. And that's why every state that I cultivate on the mat is required to go off the mat at a high level where 9 times out of 10 my life is on the line. So the state that we're interacting with in the center comes at the most distilled, purest state that I can cultivate. Because this is what keeps me alive in those situations where you have to trust your intuition, know thyself, love thyself on the highest fucking level, when your common sense is going, well, this is stupid. We shouldn't be fucking doing this. And here we are like, no, we're going to try to overlap this conscious inhale, exhale, match the inhale with the exhale shit and see how far this goes. And we're doing these things where if you don't do it, you don't come back. So the state has to come forward. And in that compression, your body activates something. And so that's what I bring back. That's why I rarely leave the mountains. So 8 Sacred Paths, like I said, it's been an 8-year cycle. That's where I started the mentorship program, where I started teaching people yoga and started going, okay, well, I'm going to share that. And I was a fucking drill sergeant. Pain is the essence of practice. And you started watching 32 to 22 in like the first week, and everything going do, because everybody had this idea that they were going to show up, and it was going to be like, hi, you guys, welcome. Here we go. And that's not who the fuck I am. That's not how I operate. You know, that soft talk kind of weaker approach to thing is not what's going to get my rhythms. That's not me. I approach things at the point of mastery where my life's on the line, where that kind of soft talk gets you nowhere. Pouting about things, exporting your reality to people and events, that shit doesn't help you when you're 150 feet off the ground doing shit. It's you. And that's why I like to do things like that. And so I bring that essence to y'all so we can take you where you're stuck, because I pull up your charts and I see where in your life, what part of your soul's evolution are you at. When we met, you were in acquisition. So I was like, oh, okay, we got to figure out desire and fulfillment real quick and figure that shit out.
Thanks, by the way.
Oh, got you, brother. Well,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Life has been pretty delightful and abundant recently.
Well, that's different because, you know, abundance is different than the state that you were cultivating, because you were affluent. And when you're affluent, you vibrate at a different level. That goes with the state of acquisition. The vibration, it's like you're in 6th gear. You're turning and burning, baby. You're just going and flowing. And that's kind of that fratty mentality you were talking about, where you weren't thinking. You were just moving. And because you're so big and fucking strong, it's like, dude, you could just claim the space. If you're in a good mood, it's a great time. You get in a bad mood, you're the fucking gray cloud. And you would just kind of cruise that way. And that's why when I first approached you, I never approached you soft. You know, I was like, oh, what's the shit you want to do that you can't do? Let me show you I can do that real quick. We got to even the playing field, because you could lift me up and throw me if you fucking wanted to at any fucking moment, you know. It's kind of intimidating to work with you sometimes, because you are so big. I'm like, because I'm dealing with the topics that fucking piss you off, or like, you know, the shit that triggers you.
I've definitely noticed sometimes where, like, especially like, you know, a few years back when I may have turned into a bit of an asshole on social media about my political viewpoints, which, in all fairness, many were ignorant, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. I would notice, like, sometimes you just keep bring something up, like somebody said something, I'm like, fuck that guy, he's a dummy, and you just keep pushing, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to zen out here. I'm not trying to get fucking spun up. But realizing that you're like, yeah, I want you in that state, like.
That's where the real alchemy happens, the real emotional alchemy that's going to be present in life. And I don't want to deal with your best side. I'm not helping you if I bring out your best side. I need your worst side to come forward, because that essentially is what I do. Is I take light workers and I take them through the shadow side of life where they get distracted, and help them not get stuck. So I need you in that state where you're out of it. Like, you're not in control. And I go, great, now that we're here. But it's super
now
spooky.
Let's practice.
Yeah, because you're, like I said, you're big as shit. And you're only getting stronger and stronger. Like, when I met you, you were bulky. But you weren't able to find a point of equanimity, like your balance, for example. Your balance internally and externally were something that's where we first met. And I was like, oh, okay, because you could lift anything you want. That wasn't the issue. So finding a point where now that balance, and especially as it goes into Sarah, I remember years ago, You were going on a fitness journey, man. You were going fucking turning and burning, acquisition mode. You couldn't keep this guy from not powerlifting 900 fucking pounds. Like, just going full savage mode. Every time I see him, like, you're getting fucking bigger and bigger, dude. But I know you're not happy. Like, I'm helping you maintain balance, but you don't have this level of service that's going to bring you true fulfillment present. Like, it's just you. You're a shiny boat in the harbor, which is cool and all. But when everybody else around you is this tiny little boat, you just kind of look a dick. And I was like, we got to shift that and make you the sea of awareness sort of a deal. So when you get great, everybody rises. But if you fuck up, everybody sinks. So no pressure, you know? And so that was coming out of that state of acquisition into what abundance is. And abundance, I told you, is a different vibration. I was like, you're not going to be turning and burning. Like, the things that feed you are going to shift. And that's where you hit your empaths on your fitness goals. I remember sitting with you like a couple years ago being like, dude, you're only going to go so far because of your astrological composition. Like, you're a moon sign, not to get all woo-woo and shit, but you're fucking reflective, homie. If your partner isn't at her best, guess who's not at their best? It's as simple as I can put that shit. That's the real life application of it.
But boy, howdy, when she's dialed in.
Oh, fuck. Well, we had to sit and I go, well, dude, you're going to have to turn around, essentially. I go, all this shit we've been working, and keep in mind, me and Chris have been working on his personal greatness and bringing his best day and climbing corporate ladders, doing all this kind of awesome life shit for years. And he's on this steady momentum. And one day he comes in, I'm like, hey, bro, not to be a damper here, but you can't keep going where you're going. You can only find true fulfillment with your partner. So you need to figure out how to turn it around, put your wants, needs, desires second, even though you're a refined I, and become a refined we. And that was a whole other journey, because learning how to bridge your wife and how to meet this kind of feminine energy, she don't take no shit. You can't come at her with some fucking, you fart bubbles and unicorn dust. That's not going to fucking work. Miss Sarah wants to feel it. So if she feels a shift, then she's curious. And if you're not something real, you can politely go fuck yourself. That's really her female energy. She knows what works and what doesn't. That's how she nurtures, And so for you to come into a true state of transparency and authenticity with what your intentions are. Here's the feedback I want, vocalizing that stuff, and like being able to be more transparent with her, share the process on what you were doing. It was awesome because, like I said, you were very introverted with how you were becoming great. You were doing the natural, you go to work, you're kicking ass, you're being present at the house, you're doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing that we think we're supposed to be present in relationships. But there was an impasse. Sarah wasn't her happiest. She wasn't feeling the way she wanted to feel. You were hitting a point no matter how hard you lifted. Like, you were getting bulky, but you weren't getting ripped. There's a difference. And you weren't gaining like functional muscle movement. You're just getting big as shit. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but you're not gonna be able to scratch your back soon, bro. Like, you keep this shit up, dude.
Thank you, modern medicine.
No, totally, And it was really cool to see you chose love and in the most hardcore way, because you wanted to love yourself and actually experience true fulfillment, not desire. Find what true power is versus strength. All those kind of shit that you hear about in books, you were actually, when it was presented to you in life, and you're like, I don't get it. Like, this is weird as shit to bring up. Like, I know this is really obtuse. I'm sorry to bring this up. Like, this wasn't how I thought fucking today was going to go.
No, it's good.
It's awesome.
But we needed to spin it. That was your whole thing, was we needed to spin your direction, and to see you choose that. I was like, oh, fuck. Because like I said, you represent a very refined polarity of masculinity. And for you to essentially become soft and to give up your power to go, you know what? She makes me weak. This is the one area that makes me weak. And I go, well, you're going to have to give up a lot of shit that you desire and gives you limited fulfillment. A lot of the friends that you keep, your social circles, they're going to fade. All this stuff fades because it doesn't behoove the vibration you're trying to cultivate.
Yeah.
And you had to change your whole vibe. And that means everything has to shift. Because like I said, my yoga doesn't happen on the mat. I don't give a fuck what you do on the mat 9 times out of 10. That's why I don't talk to you about teaching you standardized flows and shit. That's not my thing. My thing is your energy and your vibe. Like, how this is how it's going to actually emanate through 7 areas of life. Like, there's 7 chakras. There's different aspects that this shit's going to hit. And when it hits, I want the best you present. I was like, well, you're going to cap out physically because you left your partner physically. There was a certain level of communication and intimacy lacking that need to get brought back. And I didn't know what it was because I'm not in your business, of course, we didn't talk like that. We were very much about his greatness, what he was doing. And just to have him cap it out, I'm like, man, here's what matters to me. If it's not my wife or my daughter, honestly, I don't give a fuck about it. That's where the line is drawn. I was like, thank you for keeping it very simple, because we can't have this over complex bullshit that no one can follow, because when the shit hits the fan, and you will be tested, desire is a lusty mistress. It doesn't just fucking go away. It's something that hits in waves, and you will be tested. And you were. And it was awesome to see you keep such a beautiful ideology present.
And the stronger you are, the stronger the tests.
And y'all came here to fucking play for realsies. Like, hey, this isn't no two-hand touch. This is some pro shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't fuck around. The Beaties don't fuck around. Okay. Maybe we'll do this way. I have an energy meter that reads up to 200. I've never not had Chris's chart read 200. Never. And I mean, every organ in his body is like, because he's the battery, he's the generator of the relationship. And sometimes, Miss Sarah will come in and she needs some energy. And I'm like, well, you got to talk to the energy source. You two have to now do this woo-woo soft shit that who has time, energy, and space for? Like, after a work day, after doing normal family shit and social stuff and maintain all these circles, I'm going to go, great, I need you two to become intimate now. Like, dude, are you fucking serious?
I'm tired,
exhausted.
man.
Yeah, I don't have time for this om podney om shit. Like, what the fuck? And to teach you to, like, practical breath work to do, practical touch, where sometimes we're too jazzed up. Like, you can't just go, hey, come sit on my lap and let's stare into each other's eye. Like, fuck off. Like, let's learn how to watch TV together. Oh, yeah.
That's the chair.
Oh, that's the love chair.
So I just crawl in his lap every once in a while when he needs like an energy reset, and I'll just like sit on his lap, and it works.
It's fucking delightful.
Every time.
Because she has the power, because you gave her the steering wheel. And in this relationship, you are the great first mate, and she's the captain. That's the one thing, that's a power transference, because you make her strong and she makes you weak. It's the male and female transference of power, which makes you a power couple.
Dude, I remember.
It was a hard combo.
I remember the conversation where we were like, hey, dude, if you want to continue like down this path, now that you've got Sarah like on board with you, like you can't separate. Like if you fuck things up at home, your entire life crumbles immediately. It's like everything is center. And by the way, all your like tough guy alpha bullshit,
bye.
Fuck that.
That's what must be sacrificed. That was part of your test was, do you love yourself enough to become a refined E and step into a refined we? Because a refined I is very simple. And that's where you're capped out, which feels great. Like, you weren't doing bad. Sociologically speaking, you're doing better than most in that capacity. But you're like, I want true fulfillment.
Yeah.
And that was a completely different shift. That's what I'm saying. It was beautiful to watch you two. And it's still fun to see as you two evolve and what this is turning into as the momentum gains. Because, like, great, well, now you guys are here. You're both physical specimens. You both know how to maintain peace and equanimity and love, which is great. And now life is going to go, okay, well, maintain the title. Now you're going to get guests. You're going to have
There's the task.
That's it. Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking sucks though, because like, let's use road rage as a great example. Both my wife and I used to be very refined in a specific skill set.
You can speak sign language, huh?
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh, lots of it.
Very much so.
Very colorful verbiage.
And you realize, like, it happened to me this morning. I'm driving back from the store, and some woman like comes out from another lane, cuts right in front of me, like right on my bumper, and I'm like, I can feel my temperature just like, this fucking bitch, like, whoa, dude, like, die, like, I don't know what's going on in that woman's life. Maybe she didn't see me. Maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe it's her first time driving in the United States. I don't know. But what service is it to like freak the fuck out?
Well, thoughts are magnetic.
Energy.
Yeah. Well, actually, your emotions are your energy, and your thoughts are magnetic. So he jumps through it so fucking quickly, where it's like, you have to realize that that's what you're catching is that thought. It's like, well, this thought form is now leading to a visceral experience. Like, my temperature is actually raising. Like, I go, well, yeah, that's the crazy shit to me. People think that's shit that I like to go skydiving for funsies and watch a sunset, And I'm like, your emotional instability is more risky than anything I do, because I'm in a constant state of rest. Like, my heart monitor says, hey, get active. And I'm jumping out of a plane. My body doesn't experience the high and low. I'm constantly in a state of chill. And so when I see folks that do that, I'm like, ooh, that comes at a big cost. You want to just have no energy to do higher form and function? Yeah. Operate in that fucking state. Spend your energy through mindless, self-indulgent little behavior like that, where you're yelling at the goddamn steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it's that energy you spend, and then when you go to do something, like I said, of higher form and function, you're toast. Like, you can't come home and operate at a high function when the whole day the energy that you've been emitting has been negative and conflicted, because all you are now is conflicted to yourself, which is, I'm not fucking practicing. Fuck that. I'm going to have some ice cream. I'm going to turn on some Netflix, and I'm chilling. Fuck this shit. Here comes my inner rebel. It's conflict, and we all have it. And that's part of understanding on the micro level, where on the macro, that kind of stuff influences, where it's like, oh, I have to catch this shit at a thought form before it becomes a feeling, because once it's a feeling, it's visceral. It's all of me. And we're empaths, so we're super sensitive that way.
Well, and then you walk into a room, with this shitty energy. And like you said, you can walk into a room, and if you walk in super happy and positive, or walk in super fucking ragey, like, you can feel the energy of the room change.
Yes. Yeah, and everyone in this house is such an empath.
Oh, you can feel it 100 feet away. And especially in the world we live in, your energy speaks volumes. I don't care how you dress or how anything. It's the energy you emit. It just decides everything for the space. And you're a big fella. You're a powerful alpha female. You know, it's like these states get emitted and they have to be tempered a certain way, or else it can be very standoffish. And it's like, it's one of my favorite things to watch you two have to learn how to temper your own power.
Yeah.
Because you're very Valhalla Vikings. I always reference you two as my Viking couple. You know, I work with a lot of power couples, and they're not all strong. Let's just say that. And, you know, to see you two always pull from your greatness, I'm like, okay, but in this instance, yeah, you can be right, but are you in love? And they're like, and their fucking eye will twitch. It's hilarious. Like, I'm like, you have to choose your vibration in this juncture, because this life moment, and they're momentary, small, inconsequential shits.
We had one yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We were out surfing yesterday morning, and I don't know what was going on, but somebody had some nasty ass energy going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was being all growly and shitty and all up in my shit. And I looked at him and I was like, "Hey, you doing okay? Like, what's going on? Your energy sucks right now."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "I don't know, but I'm really frustrated." I was like, "Okay, cool."
See, that's true love, though, the transparency, because you feel it, and then you can call him out with love to the point where you can put a mirror in front of him and let him see what it looks and feels like and not take it on. That's high level of relationship alchemy. That is high level shit right there, just so you know. That is,
and it's such a great experience, because you go back 5 or 10 years ago when she'd call me out on something, I would
flare.
Oh my God, I'd just
So
fly
hard.
off the fucking handle.
Oh, every time.
And now it's like, still, especially when she catches me, if I'm wound up a little bit, I'll be like, and then I'm like,
Hold on. Notice what he just did, everybody. He just breathed.
yeah,
He took accountability over his experience through taking a conscious action. You see, I taught you a very simplistic, I didn't teach you some crazy shit. I taught you the same breath I teach a sniper who has to be really calm and keep the damn rifle straight. I didn't teach you the super woo-woo, oh, double pump into your third lung crap. No. I gave you something. That's what he just did. He's accountable for the experience and how the energy he wants to feel.
yeah.
That's refined masculine right there.
That's awesome.
Well, but you know, on the same note, it's hard.
As a motherfucker.
Yeah, because it's not muscle memory.
It's a
like we've
constant
talked
practice.
about.
Yeah, I'm really good at talking shit and being aggressive and being loud and kind of a douchebag. And trying to
Kind of.
be calm. Give me a moment. I try to. That's what I've realized. Like the next step is what I want to introduce, because I have so many friends that are so similar to me. It's like, hey, you know what? There's a next level. There's a next gear, and it's fucking awesome.
But you have to update your personality type, though. You can't bring your old fucking you here. That shit has to be completely dissolved and reassembled. So if you're a tough guy like yourself, like I worked with you for a whole winter, and I think I called you a bitch and a pussy every time I saw you. Yeah,
He loves that.
Well, now, because I got him used to the cold water. He used to look at me, Sarah, like, I'm going to remove soul from body. Like, what the fuck did you just call me? Like, he would give the big flare. I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because that piece of your personality, we needed that to have room at the dinner table, so to speak. There were no pieces of you that could be humble or, quote, weak to him. Because everything was so fucking strong, and it had to be so masculine, so polarized. I'm like, no, I need you to kind of he-bitch out a little bit and feel some shit and, you know, go into this different state and validate that.
But it's crazy now. You see it every day, because if you look at, like, you know, you're about 10 years younger than me, I think.
I'm 37.
I'm early 40s.
10 years
Okay, so
younger
we're
than me.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. I'm going to be 50 50
Get it, girl.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
so
Shit,
the,
over 40 and feeling foxy. Get
Oh,
it.
hell yeah. This is my best decade so far.
this is
Killing
good
it.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But how do you there's a very contemporary viewpoint. Like I was raised, I would say, classic masculine, where, you know, my dad was law enforcement, military, FBI. He was you know, when I was growing up, he was a fucking superhero. He's this, you know, 6'4", like well-built man, you know, and he had a chip on his shoulder, and he's like, you know, he wasn't taking anybody's shit. And I was raised from early on, like, the world's going to fuck with you. The world's a rough place. So you look people in the eye and let them know that you're willing to shoot yourself in the foot to fuck their world up.
Yeah.
And that's how you survive. And while it was brilliant for a long time, I've managed to go through my life. You know, I was picked on a lot as a little kid, and I got real tired of that. And my dad got me into martial arts and all kinds of stuff. And then I started lifting weights. And I built this exoskeleton, if you will, where it's like my buddy Byron, the vanilla gorilla, as we call him. He looks like a mountain. At the time, he was 6'5", benching 405 for reps. Just a ginormous man.
And the biggest sweetheart you could ever meet.
And that was the thing. He'd always say, he's like, I don't ever have to be an asshole. Nobody wants any of this. And it's like, it's so true. But then you take years of training to be that alpha asshole, and then you build the body that supports you being that guy. And then, oh fuck,
one thing goes wrong.
I'm the bully now.
Yeah.
Everything I built my whole life around to protect myself from, I'm putting on somebody else.
Yeah.
And then that was the moment where I was like, fuck, I have to make a change because I have to set an example of how to be, you know, quote unquote, the mature masculine. How can you be, you know, an alpha, be confident and strong and aware, but you know, strong guys don't put people down.
That's a different
They
state,
lift
though.
them up.
Well, you're trying to do different states, though. See, the state you were talking about is your fight for survival state. That's when you're in acquisition. Your turn, I don't care what it costs, let me get there. I want to get successful. I don't care what it takes my physical body. I eat like shit. I work like crazy hours. I have bad people around me, but I'm fucking moving up the ladder.
But I'm making money.
And there's a turn and burn to that. So that alpha state, it has a sunset as well. And there's a state. And what if you're not physically poised enough to become some vanilla gorilla? Like for me, for example, I'm team beanpole. No matter how much I work out, I'm skating like this fucking mic stand. Like it's just, I can move my body weight. Exactly. Like
Jason's
too,
like,
man.
yes.
Yeah. Like, and there's still but that state of power and immovability. We're not built like mountains, but we can still be immovable. And that's the state that's timeless. And that's shows the sign of the soul's evolution. And it doesn't matter what the physical activity is. You can be working with sound equipment. It doesn't really matter. It's the level of presence and awareness and mastery you bring forward, and the action derives that state you speak of. And that's a state of abundance, transcendence, and fulfillment. There's different vibrations, and we don't acquire as quickly. Things kind of show up, sort of a deal. There's a ebb and flow to things. There's not a fight. There's less survival. There's a flow. And you hear people talk about the flow state in tech industry.
Yeah.
It's a really
I was
big
just talking
mainstream
about it
thing.
earlier.
And they're just now catching into that highly creative, meditative state that yogis have been operating in for millennia.
We've been trying to tell you guys.
Exactly. But the bridge has been shit because everybody they're dirtbag hippies, bro. Like I know my community. It's a shitty bridge because the tech industry is very refined. Like this beautiful home y'all have built. And you can't have somebody stinking like body odor and patchouli coming in here. It's not going to work. There has to be a more fluid bridge between that state, that flow state, and today's speed, because I reference speeds in a car. My hippie friends want to be in first gear, transcendental states, just transcend everything. You know what I mean? Just come super present. That doesn't work when you have a fucking mortgage, a job, y'all got kids, animals, a beautiful house to maintain. So at most, we can expect you to tune down to third gear. You know, that's as most as I can ask for a modern application. So all the books are going to reference this heightened state of exaltation, talking to angels and demons, all the crazy shit.
All you got to do is meditate 8 hours a day.
And who the fuck has that? You know, we got shit to do. I mean, if you don't want to be in that vibration of survival, if you want to go through the different stages, like we're talking about, there's acquisition, there's abundance, and there's true fulfillment. And that's the state we're talking about. It's this highest level. How do I bring that state out now? And like I said, we're not all physically poised, but a mindful action leads to a mindful state that you have conscious control over. And that's the power. Think of your weightlifting. These are dudes that hit walls every time they lift. It's a mind fuck. The whole game is a mind game. It's not a physical game. Those dudes are all little fuckers to me inside. All of them. Because they just did the same mindfulness every day and got huge. But it's a game of, can I hit my boundary? And do I have the mental fortitude to actively move past it and then care for myself afterwards to maintain the state and this rhythm? You can work out super good. You have proper diet and shit. You see no gains. You can't maintain working out. So it's all self-love. And we break it down like that, and it's like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, I bet they figured out now how to apply the highest level of self-love. Because y'all, like I said, you don't fuck around. You're my Valhalla fuckers. Like, let's go. I want the highest level. Let's get it. I go, well, here's the highest level of third gear. And that was part of this whole shift coming in. I was like, well, you have to talk to your wife about this shit first off. Like, this woo-woo stuff. Bridge the gap. Not just leave pissed off and come home happy.
Yeah,
that's
happening a lot.
That happens at my wellness center all the time. And that's sometimes we draw the line, because if you're not willing to bridge the gap, like I talk about, I can't work with you because I only work with practitioners. I'm the worst business partner because I fire everybody in my center constantly for not working. Like, you're one of the only guys left. There's one old dude, but he doesn't really count. You know, you're the only.
See, I told you.
Male. Everybody else I fired because they hit their own emotional instability, like you talked about with your father. They're raised to be kick-ass. I'm not saying they're not kick-ass alpha men. Yeah. Leaders of industry, and they're badass dudes, but they're not flexible, so they will break where we're going. You can't go into these topics and expect yourself to have control. Like I was talking about with you, and I call you a bitch and a pussy all the time. Like, you have to actively sign up for, like, hey, I want you to challenge me, dude. I want you to take me to that place where if this happens in the real world, I can't afford to fuck this up.
Yeah.
I'm building shit right now. Yeah.
I remember you bringing it up like, you can't punch anyone.
No.
Ever.
And I'm sorry, we come from a background where, guess what?
Really?
We hold men accountable for their... Yeah,
Yeah,
and we just want to
exactly.
just bop on them. Like, well, one of those derails everything. And it's an emotional one for you because you're so big. One pissed off moment, you flare out, God fucking damn it, and you stomp out, derails months of what you're working on.
Dude, I've had a couple flares at home
Oh,
over
you're
the
supposed-
years
well-
where it's like I spent weeks or months recovering. Like, God damn it.
Yeah. And think of it investments. It's like an investment of energy. Yeah, you make one bad investment, you can fuck your portfolio. And the same works with your energy.
5 minutes, you can fuck 5
You're
years.
goddamn right. And that requires that much diligence in what you're doing. And it's all the same shit. And you're going like, oh man, it's like I have to be accountable for this every fucking day. I don't know. Do you want mastery? Do you want excellence? Or do you get okay with a subpar experience where you're kind of a wandering generality, my dad would call them. And nothing pisses them off more than that. Oh, fuck. I'm seeking the present moment. Whatever life brings me, I'll just like, oh, you have no direction. You're a rudderless boat. You're dangerous to me. You need to have intention. I want to see your feedback so I know what kind of practitioner you are. That's why I only work with practitioners, which again makes me a really shitty business partner in that capacity because I don't do it for financial gain. I do this stuff because I want to work with the highest level of yogis. I make my other financial stuff through astrology. That's where all my shit happens because if you really know astrology, you understand time and price, you're taken care of. It's fine. So it leaves a lot of level of integrity at my work where I can just go, well, this isn't working. Have a good one as far as you can go.
I just got here. Yeah, I know we're done.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, no, and I get crazy offers from the most eclectic people to take them on. And why don't you? I'm like, because it doesn't align with what we're doing here. Like I said, it's been an 8-year cycle. We're just wrapping it up.
But it'll give you a pile of money.
Oh, I wish I was for sale. Oh, good grief. It'd make me so much more like palpable.
Right?
You know, people would love to have, like I said, I got to teach a yoga thing later. And they're like, oh, what time are you coming? Like, oh, they never give me times. No. People kind of hope I'm late because I come here to ruffle the feathers. I want to see the truth of the moment sort of a deal. So the more money you throw at me, the more shit I know you're in, the less interested I am in working with you. I know the cost. Like, I'm not stupid.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, like just help me summit the mountain. Like I'm not interested in the work or any of that shit. Like I just want to get there.
And
those are the people that die on the way.
Yeah.
Goddamn right. Because they're not willing to become accountable. Because at a certain point, think of like Everest, for example. Why do you think they leave so many people at the top? There's a dead zone. Same thing happens in evolution. There's a dead zone. There's a place where people give up and they lose faith all the time. It happens. It's the closest to the fucking top because it's where you can lose the most disbelief in yourself that quickly. If you were to, for example, go out and get in a fight and kick the fuck out of somebody, you think I could sit here and talk to you about peace, love, and equanimity? No fucking way. You'd be like, dude, I can't even get in the vibe right now. I gotta like, you have to cleanse and shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying. There's a zone, and that's where y'all are at. And as a power couple, you're gonna be tested even more because this is a dead zone. You know, to have maintain this level of intimacy and transparency is very rare in relationships. Like I said, I work with a lot of power couples here. You know, I work a lot of the folks, and I can tell you there aren't too many happiness. That's a commodity around here. And to find people who generate it and can maintain it, you'll feel your social circle. Like you'll have another couples come over, I'm sure, and you'll be like, the energy after they left is just fucking weird in the house. Like we're not as happy as we were.
Yep.
Fuck.
Dude, it is. We've gotten really aware of that. Like being around people, it's like, you know, whether, you know, like I said, they're super happy and awesome with each other, or if they're super snipey and pissed off all the time. Dude, the news is the one that drives me nuts right now. I have so many of my friends, you know, they're just buried in, you know, what's going on in like the world and stuff, which, you know, sure, it's important, but it's like on the same note, you know,
why?
I get so much shit about like, you don't know what's happening in the world and like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, like, you know all about it. Like, what are you doing about it?
There's nothing they can.
Because all I see you doing is just pissing everybody
Frothing
off
at the
around you.
mouth.
You're just angry all the time. I'm like, so you're just taking your anger and spewing it all over the world. It's like, how's that helping what's happening in Ukraine? Do you think being angry is the answer over there? I don't know. I mean, I don't know shit about politics, but I know that very rarely does anything quality or good come from being angry, upset.
No. And if you're working at the level you guys are working at, making this many sacrifices, you have to be this tedious with yourself, even with silly shit. Like, okay, well, I had a knowing about my social circle. Do I take action? Fuck, how do I take action? How do I not seem like an ostentatious prick who's more woke than them? And, oh, I know more. Our vibe is better than your vibe.
Yeah.
And, you know, because that's part of the internal. It is. It's hard to balance the two because half of you wants to honor your knowing and be like, I feel some weird shit. The other half's like, well, these are my friends for the past 15 years. Fuck. And it's that level of integration and how you two choose to do that and taking action that shows what state you're going to be able, because we're in the dead zone. You don't have time to kind of fiddle fuck around and go, well, let me keep them 3 more months and see how they interact with us and our space and with my family and things like that. it begins to become very impactful very quickly because we're at such a high level where it's epic pass or epic fail.
Yeah.
And so you should
binary.
And unfortunately, like a lot of times I'm driving those conversations and it makes me feel guilty. But I'm like, hey, do we really want this kind of energy in our lives right now? Like, this really doesn't work for me.
Well, he's the engine, so he can't see what's coming. Remember that. You're the captain of the ship. That's what makes you such a powerful couple. Is you can see the things that you're like his buoy for what's coming. He's just driving forward. That's why I said he's always at 200. Chris is infinite fucking energy. Like his prana, if you will, or sexual energy in yoga is through the fuck. I can't even cultivate it. It's insane. And all I do is just woo woo shit. Yeah.
I guess people were right when they called me a fuckboy.
Like, legit. Like, seriously, yeah. But now having to refine that powerful essence into something more, then how do we maintain that? You're talking about these subtleties and all these things that you have to validate. You have to actively go like, fuck, I have to listen to my wife when I'm mad. You got to get right with yourself with that shit. And it's fucking hard to come off the ladder. I get that. Because once we climb up, we're like, I'm not coming down.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
I'm
Give
king
me
of the
time
mountain.
and space, and then we'll talk. You know what I mean? Not in the fucking moment. No way.
Oh,
Too
and you turn into a petulant child. I'm like,
You're damn right you do.
I'm here and I'm right. I'm right.
Oh,
that's
there it is,
where
buddy.
you fucking fall down. I'm right. Like, do I want to be right, or do I want to be in love? Yeah, exactly. But
factually,
what the fuck is the point of being right? What does it matter?
You're not cultivating shit worth talking about. Nobody gives a fuck about how anybody's being right in this world. They don't. With somebody like you who could be right, who's choosing love, that could teach volumes to the next generation, especially men who need to learn how to become accountable, but also loving. So I know a lot of accountable dudes, like in the military mindset, everything's very militant and everything. There's no intimacy. You can't maintain a relationship with anybody, and it's just...
They're very, like, successful on paper, a lot of them. But yeah, you're missing a piece, and...
That's that acquisition piece we're talking about. Like, yeah, you might have gotten a level 10 in acquisition, but your abundance game is trash, dude. Your true fulfillment game is trash. You don't even know what love is. You don't know how to love yourself past this point. You don't know how to share that state with others enough to hold a relationship that's worth something.
Yep.
There's a lot that goes into it, and we can just distract ourselves because we have stuff and things to do now, and with financial, security comes choices, and you can just distract yourself. So why do it? And that's a huge narrative to people where it's like, I can just go to bars, get drunk, come home and just do shit like that. And
food can be dropped on my door. There's Instagram, there's video games, there's porn. Like,
there's plenty of ways to distract yourself with stuff and things, but to consciously go, okay, when I'm out on my boat now I'm supposed to be having fun and doing shit. Now I'm working on self. Great. And my wife is doing it, which is even closer to home. So it's even like, whoa. And like, oh yeah.
No room to fumble and fuck it up.
No, because she's watching, and Sarah demands mastery, or she won't listen. She doesn't mind that you're her driving force. As long as you're masterful in who you are, then she'll let you be that driving force in a direction.
Boy, has that been true forever.
Yeah, but she don't fuck around, dude. I remember the first time I met Sarah, I was like, oh shit.
Alpha bitch.
Say more.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh man, because like I said, I work with a lot of, quote, powerful women that are in business and higher level finance and these sort of things, but they don't have this, you have a warriorship to you. And it's how she holds herself and when she makes the decisions of her words, when you feel them. Because Sarah looks into you when she talks. She doesn't look fucking at you, around you. She wants to see what made you fucking squirm, how you're responding to shit. And so she'll say shit that might be a little coarse and obtuse out of nowhere and catch your ass off guard just to see, okay, can I relax around you?
Never seen that from her.
Oh, never.
Every once in a while she'll say something like, you realize how that occurred to people? She's like, yeah, I know.
She wants to see how it affects the space. Yeah. And so to have that and going, oh, so your level, like your driving force, you have to come from unconditional love. It can't be, what does Chris want? Your wants, needs, and desires have to be in true fulfillment of the we, not the I.
And that becomes the trick in today's society, though, because it's like everybody, especially right now, everything's like I said, COVID, politics, Trump, blah, blah, whatever it is. The last 3 or 4 years have just been the most frantic I've ever experienced in my life. And good God, there is so much shitty, aggravated energy going around. And just like how to, I guess
your narratives have to switch on any of those
Dude,
topics.
it's a choice.
That's it.
Well, it's hard because I've always been such a social butterfly. You've got, I have this gigantic friend group. I'm everybody's friend.
Oh yeah, you're everybody's favorite squeaky toy.
You are, seriously.
He totally is. You should see it at family events. Like everybody's, I can't get
Mr. Magnetism.
I can't get him to myself. I get frustrated because like at the end of the night I'm like, you didn't pay any attention to me at all. He's like, everybody wants to talk to me. I don't care.
I need mines too.
Right?
Oh, dude. In the meantime, I'm like, my battery gets discharged in those situations. So I oftentimes I just need to disappear. I need 5 or 10 minutes, just like,
Oh, that makes so much sense.
That's why I'm always.
That's why at the end of it, you've got nothing for me. So I have to fill you back up. So
you
that
ever notice
can...
too that I'm always the guy like, I'll go to the store and get drinks. Like, I can go get gas for the boat. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and everybody's
just
like,
need a
hey, I want to
few.
go with you. I'm like, sure.
Every single time.
Well, that's because he's a moon and he wants to give. He's reflective. So if you're in a giving, like, hey, I'm happy to see you, he feels like an ass bag if he's not happy as you're happy.
Well,
He's
that's
got to
always
match and
that's
escalate all the
especially
fucking
in
time.
social environments.
I'm just so glad we used the word ass bag.
Well, because he does. He
heard it here
feels
first.
Like shit. Like,
On ass bag moment, I need to pause this because I have a childlike bladder. So,
I actually am feeling it too.
all right, let's take a quick break here, folks. I feel so much better after I piss. Always, it's fucking beautiful.
You and your tiny bladder.
Hey, it's a beautiful thing.
I had more capacity when I was pregnant. Seriously.
It's not far from the truth. So yeah, we what do we want to jump into now? You had some stuff,
Sarah
or
kind of brought up something interesting. It was like the male archetype of bullying.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
how what an alpha state is and beta states and stuff that kind of points to. That's always a fun topic to kind of get into.
Yeah.
well, and especially these days, like there's just so much shitty energy out there, and God, like COVID's been a great example. You know, you're pro-mask or you're anti-mask or vax, whatever it is. But the number of incidences I saw in my neighborhood, I saw a kid get in a physical altercation with an armed guard at a Bank of America because he wanted to come into the vestibule with his ATM card and started, the guy was super polite, just like, hey, sir, you got to have a mask on. He's like, I know my rights. And of course, the funny thing is, it's like a Saturday afternoon or whatever. I'm standing in the local bank. I'm in line. And like there's screaming happening. I don't have a line of sight. And dude, being raised in my household, it's weird. Like I feel almost PTSD'd out. My dad, bless his heart, he was trying to raise, and I don't think he understood, but I grew up with so much of that police, like, I know my exit routes. I monitor people when they come in and out of the room. Are you a problem? Can I handle you if you are? Like I'm trying to like put that away, but here I am sitting in this bank. I'm pinned in the corner. There's a woman behind me with 2 small children, like getting nervous, climbing up on mom. I can't see what's happening. There's no exit route. I'm not armed. I'm like, fuck me. Like, what do I do? We have the cat trying to come through the door.
Should we let him in?
I'll get him in a minute.
Okay.
And it was just this moment of panic, where I'm just like, fuck, do I go out there and get in the middle of this? Do I just hide because I want to go home to my wife and my daughter? And thankfully it diffused, but over a mask. And then I saw a couple incidences like at my local gas station, people almost getting into fist fights over this shit. I'm like, dude, calm the fuck.
But that's who you naturally are, though. Like that's like part of your foundation is to be in that point of fight or flight. So for you, I would say that it's more about using that state for higher good and recognizing it. Like that's how I diagnose people. I don't diagnose people because I wave my magic wand at you. Like I was trained in martial arts, much like you were, so I can look at somebody and go, oh, this guy puts his weight on his left, which means he's got a bad knee.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I was going to hurt you, I'd kick you in that knee. And that's like, oh, or I can go in TCM point of view and go, oh, that's a gallbladder meridian in there. Okay, this person has emotional issues around feeling satisfied. This person has this, and this, and we can begin to help. But it's the same essence of awareness. So like I was saying, the masculine archetype, there's been an interesting bridge. And like there's 2 heavy states of polarity, especially with the male stuff. It's where they're way too feminine or way too masculine. And nobody wants to see fucking eye to eye. That's kind of what's going on.
Right wing, left wing.
Yeah,
it's just another example.
Yeah, but in the masculine archetype that's trying to be matured because the feminine has matured so much. That's why there's such a discourse between men and women right now. It's really hard for there to even be a masculine foot to stand on because we haven't represented ourselves well.
Yeah, we've kind of been assholes.
Kind of. No, we were in
Yeah.
fight fucking feed mode. And so now that the power levels are equal, if we were a stock, we're losing value, if you will. And even like I see, like, because I do a wellness center, like there's even generations now where the boys aren't even producing testosterone and going through puberty. There's such an overlap of, well, we don't need this masculine energy. And learning, because like I just told you how I use how I hurt people to help people energy, that's refining my masculine. I didn't go, well, that side of me is bad. I shouldn't look at people like I'm going to kick their ass. I'm like, well, how else am I going to diagnose them? I need to see your weaknesses. Now, what I choose to do with your weakness decides what kind of person I am. Now, that's where obviously we filter.
That's the mature masculine is like, I'm going to use this for good.
But the bridge was, it's okay that I see this. And that was very hard for me as a healer to be okay with the fact that I can see how to hurt somebody, but I'm going to choose to use it for good. kind of like how muscle stuff works. Like if you do a massage, you essentially put somebody like in an arm bar to reset a muscle.
Yeah.
You take it just to the point where it would hurt somebody to reset something and cause a higher state of health and wellness to come forward. So there's this new version of masculinity that's coming forward because of the alpha feminism that's come through, because girls have reclaimed their power finally. They've taken accountability for their experience and they're creating more.
Yep.
So now we as guys, we got to figure out our new ideology, because it's too much polarity. Like even now, like you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
You can feel it. Like,
Yeah.
just talking about it.
Yeah.
know, it brings in a level of fucking energy into the room. And,
Yeah.
and that's that state where there's no fluidity. Because
Yeah.
we're talking about power. So you can feel we're in a charged topic, because obviously it's palpable. But then you go, okay, so now how do we create flow? What state are we going to overlap in this power? Because we can make anything powerful.
Well, but so at a practitioner level, obviously you can do that you start with yourself, and, you get to a certain point, and then you start to realize like, oh, I can kind of like emanate this energy out from me, like orbitally, and I can positively or negatively. Say again?
Like, how do we emanate? Just so we talk about, because I hate to talk ephemerally, but we're going to emanate fucking energy. And
So
not touch on it.
energetically,
Yeah.
I've had so many people comment about this in my career, companies, local companies, where when I come into a room and I'm like, hey guys, like, what's up? How you doing? Like, we're going to get shit done today. It lifts the room up.
It does.
And when I come in, like, we're fucked, we're losing money, we're going to have to let people go. You get two very different experiences. One is like, oh God, fight or flight. And the other is like, oh, abundance. And like, let's work together and be happy.
You're choosing an ideology. I was more talking about an action.
Well,
Like right now, I'm matching her because I want to be on her side of the fence. We're talking about bossy boy energy. So I'm just matching Sarah's breath. I'm doing whatever the girl in the room's doing, because that's a practical action to such an ephemeral topic.
I guess that's a good point, is matching breath work is something you've shown me. We're like,
Well, yeah, because notice how we were all breathing in our chest, and where we talked about masculinity, because that's where that shit fucking goes.
feels like somebody's stepping on your chest.
You're goddamn. So we
Got it
got
right
puff.
now.
We all got to puff, and we all got to, readjust, and we start squirming and doing all that shit. I'm looking at Miss Sarah, and she's just a salmon in the fucking river. Shit's flying by her, and she's just chilling. I'm like, oh, well, the practical action around how to refine the masculine can happen on a subtle level just by reading your surroundings like this.
Read the room.
That's it. And she's obviously the state to cultivate. That's why I'm following her cue.
I should pay more attention to you.
You fucking should. She's a powerhouse this one.
Well, I guess that's as you start to learn how to do that beyond your own sphere, is how do we start to, as a community, address some of these things? Because that's really, at least in my eyes, the ultimate goal is like, I feel like we're onto something here.
Yeah.
And, some people think it's bullshit, and that's fine. I did for a long time. Some people just aren't ready for it yet, and that's also okay. I want to meet you where you're at. But how do we start to have a real serious narrative where like, hey, gentlemen, like, you don't have to be the fucking alpha meathead in the room. Like, you can be chill and cool and delightful to everybody and create this wonderful state for everyone around you.
Yes.
And not just men, everyone, men, women, alpha, beta, wherever you fit in that.
You're talking about a sigma state, a conscious observer. Somebody who's consciously aware, like you were talking about the woman that pulled out behind you today. You became consciously aware. There was an action of polarity happening there. There was two persons, A and B. You were driving, she cut you off or what have you, right?
She tried to take my alpha card and I didn't fucking like it.
Exactly. And in that moment, you chose to go into equanimity, which is the conscious observer, where you're like, okay, well, fuck, maybe she had a bad day. Maybe she's just learning, because it's fucking Bellevue and everybody's just getting here sometimes. Like, it's just par for course out here. So
It is a cultural melting pot.
You're damn right it is. So now everybody applies with the same rules. I found that out coming out. I was big trucks. It was quite interesting. Holy Hera.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking, I was wondering if you were going to bring one of the monsters out today.
Oh,
Yeah.
you had to.
It's very Bellevue.
Well, that's part of the masculinity. Like, you don't have to sit when you pee, sort of a deal, just because you do yoga stuff.
and we're back to that.
Well,
Jason learned that women can stand peeing up many years ago at a party.
Stand peeing up.
You know what I mean.
I've learned a lot from these two.
many moons.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's kind of that, like, you have to bring the softer side of yourself if you practice this level of love. Like, you can't, do things that you perceive are strong. Whatever your strength is. Like, if you feel peaceful by carrying a weapon, great. If you feel peaceful by not carrying, whatever makes you feel strong, you're able to do whatever that brand is for yourself, because everybody should feel calm and at ease, so that when we interact with each other, we create this energetic vibration of calm and ease, because it takes one person to fuck your day up.
Yeah.
You know, one asshole in the Starbucks line, and then the whole goddamn, and we'll say it to ourselves, now my whole fucking day's ruined.
You fucked my
and we
whole
give
day
that
up.
power. We do. It's a
That's a good
quick
point.
verbiage narrative thing we do.
You breathed it into existence.
Oh,
My
yeah.
whole day is fucked up now.
And I usually say that
see?
shit first thing in the morning.
And I don't ever say that shit to myself.
Not
She's a
anymore.
Exactly, conscious creator.
You used to sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's
It's like
definitely.
one fight, one dumb shit at the office or something. They take your state, you know, or that kind of stuff. These are these narratives we're consciously working on life level, where it's not so much about having to learn like a doctrinated thing about meditations or yogas or have to do structured postures or whatnot, or it's more about noticing your life and making a conscious decision that there's going to be an A and a B partisan, and we need to always be that conscious observer. And that's that male and female dichotomy we're talking about, and how to merge that shit and be a good bridge. If you're going to be a guy who's tough as fuck, be loving as fuck too. Be a pitbull, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be sexy as fuck, be rooted as fuck. That's part of this stuff where it's like, yeah, because feminine energy by nature is expansive. So if you're in a heightened state of expansion, like Miss Sarah, I was telling her, you're about to go through a stage of expansion as you come into your power, where we're going to have to fight for you to stay rooted, you know, and not lose, because there's going to be so much energy of change, because you've changed so much so quickly, because you two have found a better rhythm together, how to actually move in unison instead of doing the stair-stepping thing, which is...
Dude, by the way, if we could bottle this shit up for couples, I'm not going to lie. People,
Oh.
fuck, life gets real good.
See, proof's in the pudding. This is the work of equanimity, when you understand polarity, like how each one of you is a polarity by nature.
Yep.
Like, she's the aware one. That's why I'm always queuing off Miss, you know, I'm just going, hey, we're just going to do what she's doing.
Tune
'Cause,
in.
yeah, she holds a natural state because she's a woman. And if you don't know that, and you're like, no, I'm a guy, I'm gonna be peaceful. I'm around a girl, I match whatever she's doing, because they're a buoy for some shit around that I have no business feeling or thinking about, because Thor hungry, Thor eat. You know, we're guys. We have different fucking makeup. We're not as aware of shit. And so knowing how to utilize your surroundings so that you can stay in your peak state, so that you can be like, we're saying, a power couple, involve things with your surroundings, involve your community. These are all small, stupid shit. Someone's driving out. Whatever state you're in, did you wave and smile at them? Or were you like, I got to get to my fucking meeting in white rabbit mode, and I got to get in this busy chain because everybody's in a white rabbit mode out here. Like, everybody's, I'm late, I got to go. And we all got shit to do, obviously. Yeah, but how we do that shit, we can't show up on fire to every fucking thing that we do, then expect ourselves to live a good, fruitful life. And learning on these, like I said, these minute, small things, and going like, well, fuck, I have to be more feminine. And for a woman, I have to be more structured. I have to do this as part of this back and forth we do. Being self-aware, self-correcting, and accountable for your experience is so important. Even allowing yourself to be, like we were talking about this, to be weak, or for women to be strong and be an alpha bitch. Be your best you. Don't be so subtle and supple and flexible. Like, have a fucking opinion and stand with it, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's beautiful to see nowadays.
Yeah.
And we as guys need to learn to shut the fuck up. And we have a really hard time with that, because we always got some 2 cents bullshit to say. And because we can't humble our own ego. It's hard as fuck. The bridge on how to do that, you know, it's either too soft or too hard. And we are right now at the threshold of trying to figure out what's that fucking medium point for everybody.
How do I stay balanced on the fence?
Yeah, because I have some women that are creating at such a high level. I'm like, well, you have to think about love, and you have to think about other areas of life. And they're such leaders of industry. They're just juggernauts, just killing. I'm like, but you're aging. And there's soul's evolution on the table here, not just acquisition. Like, yes, you're killing the fucking acquisition game. Tip of the hat. You've done more than most could even say. Go you, right? But the soul is still not evolved past 20-something when we started this need for validation through financial stability.
Yep.
And when the fuck do we slow down enough to go, oh,
When's enough?
Yeah. And these are all things that, like, what we use astrology to see where the soul's at corporeally. They go, okay, where are they at in their evolution? When's their next off ramp to even have this conversation? That's why I had to wait, like I said, with you to even bring Miss Sarah in, because it was years we worked together before it was even a spousal thing.
I remember we talked about it for a long time.
I was like,
yeah,
no.
maybe
Nope.
next summer.
Well, 'cause
maybe next summer.
the proof had to be in the pudding. You had to be able to be able to, like, withstand her test, and not without us going, hey babe, I can be peaceful now. Watch me, and just do some ostentatious little gesture in that fucking moment. So you want to see some subtle dumb shit. Like, we're talking about building the house when things get fucking stressful. Okay, what state are you gonna overlap here? Show me something that you're
Now you're in the fire. How are you going to behave?
Yeah. Because you're creating a state that she gets to bask in. And the more calm she is, the more aware she is and creative, and the more fruitful your experience is.
The more chill I am, the
You're
easier things
goddamn
fall
right.
into my lap. Like,
And it's a symbiotic relationship, and they pour into each other. One isn't more important than the other. That's why I use the reference of, like, she's the captain. She's this rudder. She decides where we're going. But you're the engine. Without you, she just kind of sits here, like, at sea, like, I don't know where to fucking go.
and without her,
Yeah.
I just power straight forward always.
And you'd hit the fucking land, and you'd be fucking run amok within 5 minutes left to your own devices.
Yep.
Because we're guys. We don't think. We're Thor hungry. Let's go. We're acquisition based. So creating like even this conversation about that we're at a threshold of where women are becoming powerful, so they have to become rooted because they're constant states of expansion. And we as men who are constantly trying to be a driving force, we have to learn now how we show up matters. The state that we're bringing forward from the how we dress, how we care for ourselves, what the shit that we eat, the people we hang around, everything, it all goes into one melting pot to your vibrational atonement for your direct experience. And if you're trying to optimize that shit, you have to be at this level of consciousness. You have to reside here and care about this shit. And just go, okay, what is my peak state and what am I consciously doing to bring this state forward? Or do I just have this fucking knowing and I don't take any action around it?
Yeah.
Which again is why I don't get invited to these yoga studios too often, because they always talk about this knowing shit. I'm like, yeah, well, show me the action though. Where in your life have you derived that yogic process so that we can see it actually come to fruition out there? Yeah, what's the point? I don't care if some guy can lick the back of his fucking foot. That doesn't pertain to shit in life. It doesn't. It's your contortionist or an athlete at that point, which is great. But those are windows that you can only do when you're young and fit. And we're talking about the soul's evolution, which is a bigger scale. We're zooming out. And so that's why all these different states and creating bridges and noticing like where you're at. Some people are in a loveless relationship. And like, I need to create a bridge to a new state. Do I need to shift my surroundings? Do I need to bring something new forward? Because we all hit that. And you guys hit that. And it was cool to see you go, okay, well, what the fuck are we going to do? Because this shit right here ain't working. I want more. I want to be at a higher rate.
Well, that's just all these things. Just I'm like, oh, this is a great topic. This is a great topic. But yeah, like the modern relationship, if you will, like it's really exciting. We've been together what 14, almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, shit, you were around when we met.
That's what he was saying.
Jason was there.
I met you guys right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yes. Very cool. So he's seen all the
Peak
nonsense.
fuckery. I love it.
Oh yeah.
But when people
That's for another day.
let's do a different story time. But I want to be able to at some point share this with other couples specifically. It's like, you know, we've definitely we've gone through our stuff, our ups and downs, and our fun and our positive and our negative. And I feel like we'll see if we can continue to cultivate it like this. But we've found this in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, this just amazing state where it's like I watch so many of my friends, like they get into a relationship, you know. There's zero energy. 3 or 4 years later, you come back and it's like
dead.
they're roommates. Like you never see them touch. There's no like winking at each other across. There's just zero sexual energy. And it's like, it's a bummer because like, I don't know about the rest of you, but like that early on energy of a relationship minus the chaos that comes with it is exactly what I'm looking for. And to be able to figure out that, by the way, the 14 years deep, dude. Yeah,
You
like
guys still spark hard.
we're having a grand old time. You can take from that whatever you like.
Yeah.
But the point of it is like everybody can have that. You can. It's a conscious choice, and it takes. And here's the deal: the hardest part I will say of it was there was some unresolved shit on my end personally, like some stuff that had to be sorted out and talked about. That was fucking uncomfortable. It was.
Well, we talked about refined I leads to a refined we. And that's kind of what you're talking about. And you two don't lose yourself. Like, that's the cool thing about you two is it's not awkward when you two are around like, oh, great, this piece of the personality comes out because they're in proximity to their partner. There's Chris, there's Sarah, and they occupy the same space with love and transparency. And there isn't like, because you have that couple, like, you've been around people that put that like, hey, hi, that kind of energy, and they're like trying to finish each other's sentences. And it's like, oh my fuck, just shoot me now. Yeah, exactly.
Those are the people that have we mail.
Thank you. Exactly. I love her.
His and her at douche.com.
Exactly, because that's a cool thing about you two. Is that's why I see with couples is it's systematic where people sacrifice who they are for an idea of what they should be or how this should be, how the communication should be, what the house should look like, what the sex should look like, all the things, and they forget to be transparent with their partner. It's so key. If you need a clown in the corner punching himself for you to get hard, you need to tell your fucking partner that. You can't just be like, oh, I got to do this shit in private.
That's shocking to me. The number of my buddies that like, you know, buddies,
eccentric,
guys out drinking, they'll talk about like, you know,
Rando
I
shit.
like pissing on girls or whatever it is. I don't know. Everybody's got their kink. And I'm not kink shaming. Like everybody's got it. But if you are going to genuinely commit to a partnership and you can't be honest with your person about like, this is what does it for me.
And sex is the most
you're
superficial shit, by the way. That's the most basic form of communication. That's why we're starting there. So if you can't tell your partner what you like and don't like or have that conversation, you shouldn't go any further. It's a higher level form and function. Let's just...
By the way, gentlemen, pro tip, yoga and breathing work. I just realized a few years ago.
God.
Dude, yoga was designed...
Pretty good.
See?
Yoga was designed to make men fuck good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it had other
No, it is.
purposes, but
No,
like,
let's be very clear. We do this shit to look good naked. That's why we do those physical shit.
and to move.
And to, exactly, and to please our spouses. That's it. Whomever you're with, whatever that is to you and isn't, whatever that is why we become in it, because it's a conscious expression. And when you do it right, oh, it's transcendental. You transcend space and time all of a sudden. There's no half-hour power bullshit happening. You're just becoming daddy, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
But again, it takes two conscious practitioners to achieve that. One person can't be in ideology mode, thinking great woo-woo bullshit, while the other person's huffing and puffing over here, not making eye contact. Because we as guys, we stare at the wall and do shit. It's hard to be intimate like that and hard to slow the fuck down and be present with your partner to be able to create this shit. Because that's what you two have for longevity. Because I watch you two go between lust and love all the fucking time, like playing cards. You know, you do. It's like, but it's based on what you read in the moment, and you're so intimate and non-routine. I've never heard routine from either of you. You know, like we even got the name for the showers and everything. You know, like everything has
Steamy
Wonder.
Yeah, see, that is how you break in house in everybody. Okay, that is how lust is maintained in the relationship. Okay, yeah, because that level of knowing each other's rhythm and how to maintain these things, everybody feels it, but we get caught up in we kind of hate fuck each other a little bit, where it's like, well, you didn't do this for me, so I'm going to pull back here. So like, you don't show it physically, I pull back emotionally, and there's just back and forth.
You're
shit.
flushing the toilet. Like, it's just like
That's
sooner or later
usually-
somebody has to stop and be like, hey, I got fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, oh, I didn't realize I made you feel like that. Like,
Somebody has to be aware.
somebody has to like.
It's usually Sarah.
Yeah,
but-
thank you, Sarah.
in this room.
Yeah.
Ask your woman, guys. That's what I'm going to say. You got to ask your women because they're more aware. They might not be able to communicate everything as clearly as you want and as concisely in one fucking line because they'll give you like a paragraph in return for the question.
Yep.
But they know what's up.
Well, all you have to do is
ask.
you just have to tune into you can just start by just tuning into the snipey things. It's like you never take the garbage out. You never do the dishes. Like you want to make some stuff happen at home. Like guys who are not having a great time with their sex life, like set your wife up for success. Like take care of the shit that bothers her. Like come home, do the dishes, do the mundane shit that's post work. So when she gets done with her long ass stressful day and you're sitting there and you got a glass of wine for her, the dishes are done and dinner's about to come out, like it's probably going to be a better evening than you coming home and bitching about your job and you guys sniping at each other about.
Be man enough to do your laundry, be cook, like be that thing to make their life easy so they can show up and then make your life quote easy, if you know what I'm saying.
Be a grown ass man. Like if you sit at in a pigsty and play video games 24/7 and tug it to Insta models.
Oh, that's
And your wife or girlfriend is taking care of all the shit. Maybe it's not going to be such a great time.
Well, because that's the day we live in. Is mental masturbation is a state of what people think that they fulfill desire. They don't understand what true fulfillment is. I think if you like have desire fulfilled, which is like, hey, I want a hot pocket. I have a hot pocket. I want to come, so I watch porn. Like these are momentary desire things that we burn through, and as soon as you've done them, you forget about it. So it doesn't mean shit. It's not something profound to you at all.
Yeah.
There's just different points to address this from. So I'm kind of interested to see how this new generation of boys is going to step forward and how this, because it's happening. Like that's what we're talking about. That's why we're coming together right now. This is happening, and just trying to create a context for this energy to come into.
Well, and right now, like you've got three very specific generations, as I see. You got the older generation, like my parents, which a lot of them. I'm going to do some generalizing, and I apologize, but like you've got the this country's going to shit, and these the kids are pussies. They don't know the value of hard work. These fucking little hippies. Then you've got the generation in between, which most of us are, where it's like we were born with some technology and evolved into that quickly, and there's more masculine and feminine in a body.
We're more aware of our emotional bodies, but we're not as aware as a new generation.
It's okay. Like things like crying are okay. Like even accepted. And then you get to the generation, but like my daughter's age, they're very
box open.
They're very open and into it, and gender fluidity and all these things that unfortunately that first generation, like they're like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, why does
Even though it
matter?
doesn't affect them at all.
Yeah.
It does, though, in the aspect to them, because they're feeling a level of flexibility that they break under. So what you're experiencing is their fear. Imagine if I took you 300 feet in the air. And that's an area where I would break mentally, like, oh, fuck. Like, well, that's what they're feeling when they see two people holding hands of the same sex. They have such a firm ideology. They built such a tower of belief that it's such a high place that they get scared. And so that's where they get reactive, that dumb shit. that we have to be the bridges though, because all the shit trickles downhill.
Yeah.
We know that our fathers are rigid dicks, sort of a deal. Like, hey, our uncles and our fathers, like, be a fucking man, you don't cry. Like, I was asked, like, you know, you want to wear a dress when I was a little kid. Like, they've spanked out crying at a young age. So to learn how to, it's okay to feel the real F word. I thought like fuck, fight, and feed was the F's that we cared about. I was like, oh shit, I gotta feel.
Yep.
Oh, god damn it. But then we have to create a bridge now because the younger generation is so open. They don't know how to root. And all we're do is root it where we're at. Like, I don't want to move. Any place back past this might hurt. So I'd rather sit in this bullshit. And so this is where we have to use love and not being right and trust the unknown, because our energy and our thought process and our development is trickling downhill. The kids are showing us the next generation. You guys have them. Like, you have this little one in there that she is so beyond her age. She's such a fucking creative force. She's so goddamn sensitive. She holds states that we talk about, like, hey, in 3 to 6 months, we're going to have this, and I'm going to try to get you guys to hold this date. And she'll come home embodying the shit naturally, a state of non-reactivity to shit that we're like, I'm going to punch this motherfucker. And she's like, it's not that big of a deal. Choose love. There's like, oh shit, but they're not as rooted, you know, because in that sensitivity, it's like being a Wi-Fi thing. Like, you're just picking up so much shit all the time. How do I streamline what data we're looking for? Like, what's me in all of this shit, and what's going to actually manifest versus what am I feeling could be? Because very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this is all the bridge work into the feminine that we're all trying to do. That's why women are becoming more rooted, because it's for the next generation, because again, they're taking the step forward, and we as men have to become more creative and more intimate, which is very, very hard. Because we're stuck in our, I paid the fucking bills, I don't hate you, I don't have any blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck else you want.
What do you
from
have
me.
to complain about?
Yeah, like, there's this really primitive mindset that we take when we look at relationships and love, and that we don't bring in anything more. We get very Thor hungry, Thor eat. Well, the basics are taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you want greatness, you have to go beyond basics, out of survival. You have to go out of this state of acquisition, of turn and burn.
Yeah. Are you done it good enough? Because I'm not.
Yuck. Modesty is for cowards.
Yeah, exactly.
You should never be satisfied. You should always find room for improvement and to evolve, but do it from a point of love and compassion and ease. If you know you're always doing this shit, there's no rush. There's none of this, I got to do this right away bullshit, because then we're white rabbiting. We're outside in the fucking traffic already.
Stressed out, you're not present.
Yeah, you can't schedule how long you're going to spend with yourself, like on the yoga mat. Like, you don't schedule, oh, we have 30 minutes, babe. It's all we get for intimate time. Like, no, you just allow what is to be when it happens organically, and you make sure that you're accountable to be present in that shit, because you'll feel the moments when they happen. But usually we're like, oh, I have a business thing, or I have this, and we try to overlap it with have to. The only thing you have to do is be present with yourself first and foremost. That's this whole bridging we have to start doing. That way we can be accountable.
Yeah. It's funny when he gets all squirrely. It happens, I don't know, maybe every 2 weeks or so, where he, maybe sometimes more
You have to
often.
vent the chamber, you know what
Oh
I'm
my
saying?
goodness. No, but he'll just be like, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And it was so funny because at one point, like, he was just short circuiting, and he was like, hey babe, I'm gonna go over to our friend's house, and I'm gonna get the nozzle and the hose for the power washer. And I was like, really? Like at 7:00 at night? Like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I just, I really want to know if the power washer is working, or if we just want to throw it away. And I was like, well, do we have anything that needs to be power washed? And he was like, no.
I don't know. I've never met his dad, but I feel like I know his dad just by knowing him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just some shit.
Totally. It's so funny. I'm like,
My
and then he
dad
looks at me
lives
and
and dies by lists.
he literally
my
just
God.
said no. And then he
I
goes,
need to know.
oh, okay, this is really dumb. All right, never mind.
Well, it was really cool. Like, even like last week, you were challenging him, like, hey, know your whys. Know why you're doing stuff. Like, 'cause Miss Sarah always naturally picks up on shit astrologically, which is super fucking annoying, by the way. It is, because she gets by on raw talent and skill. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She couldn't context
You didn't put any
it.
work for this
No,
shit.
she couldn't context shit that she's doing, but damn it if she's not here. You know what I'm saying? With the fucking awareness, with the state pre-programmed in, like, where do I apply this motherfucker?
Yep.
And it was just so cute, because you can see shit like this happening. And she's like, yeah, well, he's going to have to really get clear on his like, whys. I'm like, well, right now his cycle is, he's facing his father. He's going to become, all of his emotional palette, all of his decision-making process have to get things done. But he said lists, which is the most unaware state to move in this fucking world, is through a list. You want to do some unconscious shit, make some waves, get a goddamn list.
Yeah.
And to face that and to come into a more of how you do things and why it's important that you do this and refine your why. Because masculine is driving force, like we talked about, and refining how you move. Ooh, I'm interested to see what's going to come here, because this is part of your your test as a couple, because she has to call you on shit. You got to hold her accountable for her shit.
You have any idea how fucking hard that is, dude?
Oh,
I'm a slippery one.
because she could tell, because she's so fucking smart. Because you're dealing with a genius.
That's the problem.
And
She's
she
like
can, like,
4 steps
rationalize shit,
ahead.
like,
She already
yeah.
knows what I'm going to say and how I'm going to react
fuck
and behave.
yes. Oh, dude, imagine what's my first time I worked with her. I was like, oh fuck, because I can usually like I'd be like, oh, I can throw some spiritual wumbo jumbo about crystals and face east and say this mantra to the average practitioner. They'd be like, okay, great, I'm getting some dogmatic, Eastern philosophy.
I'm getting a
I
list
feel
of things
better.
I need to do.
Yeah, and that's what I want to
Checklist.
approach. She does not fucking occupy that. She was like, I want to feel something right now. What is this thing that's been going on? You've been dealing with my husband for long enough. I got to see what the fuck this is, sir. It was the biggest vibe check. I don't get fucking nervous for shit. I was nervous that day. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm meeting Sarah today. Oh, shit. Okay. Because it's like a gauntlet because it's an amount of clarity. Like I said, it's what's going to be fun to get you to hold her accountable to maintain whatever the fuck she has to do to stay in this state. Because the old self is going to come back at the dead zone, the peak her, where it's about to fully assimilate whatever life changes she's done. That's when the old you comes. That's what's happening with you. Your biggest bro moments are about to come up. You're about to be full frat mode in front of the most conscious expression you've ever fucking manifested. You're going to have this crazy ass, like, where the fuck did this come from moment? Oh, yeah. It's going to be real good. I can't wait to fucking hear about it. It's going to be one of those you always... Because it's not that you don't fall, because that's unrealistic. That's a lie. It's how you get up every single time, because you're going to get swept. That's the whole part of the game of how equanimity works, is you fall into a polarity, into a belief system that's non-congruent with your ideology. And you're like, oh, no, not today, Satan. I'm not fucking walking around like this. Oh, hell no. And you change that narrative. But you're going to get tested, because like I said, you two are going higher up the mountain where most couples have given up already. Anytime anything happens in a relationship where they don't approve of, somebody disconnects somewhere. You're an asshole physically, pull back emotionally, and there's all of this kind of back and forth happening. And by the time you get to where y'all are at, like you said, you're just fucking high in roommates, dude. You got this nice ass spread, but y'all don't talk, you don't touch, you sleep on different sides of the bed. Like, I hear about this shit all the time. Like, I know folks that live in, like, on some marriages that live in different beds with their spouse of like 20 something years. I'm like,
what the fuck?
I'm like, why did you even keep the ring on? The point is to go into this heightened state of love and intimacy. Like, this is the person I can fart around. You know what I mean? Like, they love me for me, goddammit. Like, I don't have to act like the refined version of me all the time. They can get the real version of me as I fucking grow. And the fact that you two make room for that, and the fact there's this accountability going back and forth, it's something that will be tested. I was telling Sarah, I was like, when you create something beautiful that shines bright, shadow wants to derail it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's at your point where your belief system, because belief is choice. And that's our whole thing of our soul. It's your power of choice, and how are you exercising that? And that's based on your belief system and these narratives that are going on inside of you all the time. And so when you're at a peak point of transformation where you have done all these 180s in so many areas of life, where you've trimmed the fat of life, if you will, to make sure that you just are in peak excellence, everything's in the proper vibration, that's when the test comes. That's when everything, the maintenance is going to come.
Yay.
We talked about your daughter going off to school and stuff like that, how it's going to bring different energies here in the future, and all of these things. These are going to be when this peak state that we're manifesting right now, because we're deep in the manifesting stage with you too. Like, it's just cook mode. Let's fucking add shit, whatever you want. We can do it. You're in a peak state right now. And it's awesome. It's so fun to work with both of you on that capacity, because it's so cool. It's so fucking dynamic, because you guys are real practitioners. That's why I love working with you so close. And then you're going to get the test like we all do. Go to, okay, well, you got the title. You beat the old you. You kicked his ass. You're a new you. Congratulations, right? Physical, mental, spiritual, badass. Now,
Prove it.
Here comes desire. Because desire's going to go, well, now I want to go do this. Now I want to do that. If you don't know what truly fulfills you, because you will get things offered to you that align with old desire packages. Like, if it come from humble beginnings, you might get offered a lot of stuff that you're like, ooh, a piece of me never got that shit. Fuck, I want to get into that. Or let's say that you never got validated physically as a kid, so you start getting a wandering eye and shit like that. There's things that are going to come up inside that go like, fuck, I need to choose my proper narrative around this, because we're cultivating something real at a high level that is very, very rare. To have the presence of true love. Unconditional love. Like I said, you guys can fart and fuck, feed, all the fun things around each other. I love you two as a couple. That right there as a vibration is something that, if you try to go help other couples, and they'll be like, you guys just, you don't get it. It's like somebody without kids telling somebody with kids what to do. They're like, please, politely just fuck off, It has to be something that they see your fun, they see your love, they feel that vibration through your life's experience and what your vibration you're both holding. And that's what you two are cultivating this year. This is your ground zero. That's why you're noticing. You're going like, how can this state go in the world and begin to help others? It's like, well, keep doing what you're doing. Keep holding each other accountable. Keep being fucking bold, Do the hard shit. Have the crazy conversations. Sit on his lap when he's being a grumpy dick, focusing on work 80%. Because Miss Sarah, we talk about her ratios that are appropriate, of her pie chart of what time is available for work versus being present with her partner. And I'm sure younger her would have had different ratios, but I can tell you right now, it's 70% her, 30% playing with your fucking whatever it is you're doing over there, because that's not important. And that's a big thing, because as a guy, you've created so much, and to have that like, oh, I have to now shift into this, because that's what's going to get tested. You're like, a desire to create a lot of stuff. You know, that's what I'm always getting. My big temptation is I'm always desire to create new programs, new things, and go new experiences.
That is the problem right now. Like everywhere we turn, it's just opportunities. Like
plenty.
This podcast right here.
Yeah,
we're doing this.
Well, we're this whole thing here. Yeah,
Jason was just pointing at this like crazy. We talked about this podcast and started out with a $50 USB mic from
boy, has that changed
from Amazon, and things are slightly different now. But
look at how you're growing so quickly, though. Look at all this stuff, the power that you have, and holding accountability for that, and go. So my progress or my sliding back is all me at this point. Like I don't have anything else affecting my ability to create.
But like you said, you have to pick now
Yes.
because you have limited time. And here's the
Yes.
deal. Like, oh, I want to do this podcast. This is, if this turns into something, this could consume a fair amount of time. Like I need to pay for this lovely place that we've built. We jointly need to pay for this lovely place, which by the way, that she built. Like I married up. That's the way that worked. But,
well, then your construct around finance comes in. Like, how does finance work, and how are you supported? Are you supported through hours, through dollars? Are you supported through other acts of service? There's a whole construct and narrative around that as part of the narrative shift, what this is bringing. Because you'll have the same, but you won't do the same. That's the weirdest thing for me.
well, and that's the thing. It's like I look at you and it's like you work, what, 1-2 days a week?
Oh, no, I haven't had to work in 7-8 years.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything for. I only charge people up here because I got a huge overhead because the building's
Yeah, the
expensive
building
as
and
fuck
stuff.
over
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
And I don't like small spaces. I refuse to work in a fucking broom closet. So yeah. So other than that, no, that whole ship has sailed years ago because I figured out how to actually use astrology. I'm not just some asshole on YouTube trying to be like, oh, Gemini and Scorpio means blah 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 blah.
It's like a weather forecast.
Oh, fuck off. God, it pisses me off so bad. Sorry if you do that for profession. I'm not trying to. That's great you do that and you're at that level. Go you. We all
I've
start
got 50,000 followers, bro.
there. You get your followers and your likes. That's fucking awesome. Because for me, any of those things have to create something. And so for me to come into my levels of works was part of finding out that my creative process was real. Because I remember when I was I used to work a lot. Like I had a quote successful wellness center. It had 6 rooms. I was different practitioners. I was doing that 30-minute with each person, TCM mentality, put them face down, pump these fuckers out, and we're making bank through that goddamn place. It was a really lucrative environment. I was like, that's not why I learned yoga. I didn't learn yoga to be Johnny at top and spot in each fucking room. And there's no connection. There's no development. I didn't know you. I couldn't care about you because I didn't spend enough fucking time with you. But that's the narrative when you go through that stuff. So I had to switch that and go, all right, well, I'm going to lose the hour for dollar income. I need to keep the level of service and the vibration. And so that's when you hear me talk about I don't work with anybody with a name tag sort of a deal. That's not really my brand. I have a whole different vibration that I now draw from. And when I did that and I shifted my own self-worth into that, then I didn't have to work anymore. I figured out how to do the astrology stuff in the market. And so it equaled out my income. So I was like, oh, I now have choice. It's not a financial thing. It's who the fuck do you want to be as a person? Mm-hmm. And what do you want to do with your time and your space now that you're free from survival mode like we're talking about? And making that active choice. Because no one's going, hey, Eric, you need to now change. You need to become better. No, I'm off in the fucking woods kissing the stars. That's some self shit. You go, okay, I want to maintain balance in this momentum. I had now been given a sign from the universe that, hey, I can this. We created something here. We're doing something right now. This is a sign from the universe. Hey, we got a fucking leg to stand on here. Now that you know that, now is going to be the accountability piece of who you bring in, how you bring them in, what you do with your ability to create.
How are you responsible for the message that you create?
You're goddamn right. That's it.
Oh, damn it. I'm going to have to get off Facebook then because...
There's no right or wrong.
Dude, I'll tell you what. That is the single best thing I've done for my mental health in the last 3 years.
Dude, what was that? There was some Netflix thing about the Facebook algorithm.
Isn't it The Big Lie or something?
Mm-hmm. We'll look that up. I'll make a note about that, but you should check it out for sure. But it was fascinating to realize that shit is getting aimed at you that pisses you off, because if it pisses you off, you're more likely to engage. Yeah. And if you engage, that turns into advertising dollars. They're trying to rile me up. So they just throw,
that's partially
I'm
my
not
fault. I work with a company that derived...
Oh, did you?
I worked with consciousness and how to make this link. And so what it is they flash blue light on the screen. And what it does is our bodies respond to light and lux and stuff. That's what I was helping these tech companies with, is how the human body responds to light therapies and what that does to the emotional palette you draw from.
Wow.
And conflict sells. That's like sex.
Yes.
You know, the two things
Sex
that fucking
sells,
sell.
Glenn.
Peace
Sex
is like
sells.
whatever, you know. So they can figure out that, hey, if I flash this blue light 36 times at you and you notice how your pupils dilate because the camera's watching you, it's just facial recognition shit. And they figure out, oh, show him more of this. He gets aggravated, and because they get a visceral response out of it. It knows it. It can tell it when the eyes dilate, and it's like, oh, his heart rate's escalated. Okay, so think about it from like a shadow point of view. Because I work with equanimity, I work with dark and light. You know, it's a fun tool to draw energy from, and you don't have to tell anybody anything. If you're not consciously aware, we all know there's shit being flashed. We've all heard about that shit, that kind of stuff. It's nothing we don't know, but that's where that comes from, and they're doing those kind of things, and that's why for me, like, I just love to fuck with it, because I consciously will, like, one day I'll choose one point of an emotional palette consciously. I'm like, oh, I can get the algorithm to shift. Oh, this pisses him off. And then you choose a completely different state, which breaks the algorithm, which then derails that whole cycling of things. So it's like being in the front line of fuck you.
You're literally trolling the API.
Yeah, of the thing I helped create. Because I work equanimity. You know, I don't do one or the other. I fuck with both sides equally. You know, I'm into the life threesome, if you will.
I like
I don't
to.
do one
Yeah,
or the
exactly.
other.
I'm gonna hit you
Pile
both
it
if
all
you know
on
what I
there.
mean.
Because
Yeah.
it fucked with the algorithm, and then you can mess with it, and you can begin to see like how the ads change, what the stuff they're going to show you, and all that stuff is based on your control over your body. 'Cause it's a game they're playing.
Fascinating.
Oh, it's super fun.
All right, I have a new practice to
Right.
put
Yeah.
in place.
Troll the API.
It was really interesting. We were watching Midnight Gospel.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that?
Duncan Trussell.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That kind of
Fucking
shit's
great.
fun.
So
Netflix, check that shit out.
the final episode, the one with his mom
Mm-hmm.
that they talk about, like, right, and they talk about her dying of
Okay.
cancer, and like how she's evolved over
Mm-hmm.
the course of her life, and manipulating energy.
Yeah.
And she walked him through this practice of like feeling the inside of his body
Ooh.
and like sensing how he exists in the world.
Choosing a compass and a direction based on true knowing through experience.
She took it next level though, because I've heard of that from as a meditation.
Yeah.
How to teach people meditations, like literally try to feel physically inside, underneath your hands, like what it feels like, and then work to the point that you can feel your whole body. And then she was like, "Now I need you to also integrate audio and visual." Like she's like, "I don't want." He's like, "Well, what should I look at?" She's like, "It doesn't matter. Just like pay attention to just."
I make pacifists watch war shit at my center. You know, whatever it is that derail, that's the point. And for you to choose a state amidst that which creates an emotional, let's say that you don't like physical stuff happen to people. Well, we're going to watch a lot.
We're gonna get real into some
real
gory
graphic,
shit.
real into some shit that makes you get, because that's one of my triggers. Because I have a real small, even on the animal kingdom, if there's anything like that gets funky at my house, my animals, I'm like, oh, off their heads. We don't deal with that funky, weird sexual shit. No. You know, and so that's something I had to deal with, is that. And to learn how to engage yourself on these levels, that's kind of this big juncture. So I'm kind of curious, as because as you're talking about, like, integrating like the shadow aspect in with this light, to bring in like stuff like, hey, these things that derail you, everybody has it. We all have things like, like we all have things that aren't our best interests that we love. Like, we all have something. And to be around like guys looking on Instagram models to get this heightened sense of what sensory pleasure is versus true touch. There's such a fucking gap between those two things. And
Yeah.
these are all the things that we're having to update the human psyche now and get more present and going like, okay, like these things, we know this. It's the age of information. Like, it's not that we don't know this shit. It's not a knowing thing. If you don't know, go fucking research. Pull up YouTube. Get lost.
Overload.
Right.
Yeah, but there's a lack of people taking fucking action. And they go, well, I don't have the time. I'm like, well, time was a construct of your experience. Okay? We all know that. Like, the time here isn't the time on the East Coast. Time is a fucking
Fuck
relative.
you, Dave. You jerked off 17 times yesterday.
Thank
You've got
you.
time.
You've got fucking time, yeah. But your
Sorry,
values
Dave,
and your narrative are in line.
Poor
It's like,
Dave.
I know, poor guy. He just beats it till it bleeds. He's so busy. He's just so busy.
So owes me money.
Yeah, and they're stuck on. I have friends that are stuck on OnlyFans accounts, or friends that are the producers of OnlyFans, and they're consciously creating that all day, every day. And so they want to create that because they think they're coming in their power. I'm like, yes, you're making money.
Making
Go
money.
you. You're
Yeah.
getting a bag. I'm proud of you as a woman. You get your shit. Now, what do you do in this power? What constructive piece are you doing that's outside of filling your own account? 'Cause that doesn't do shit for anybody. Big bank accounts are part of the big issues. You need a big awareness to match that, so the actions are profound and create big waves.
Well, I think it's important as well, though, when you say that, you described this duality of like the dirty, stinky hippie, but it's like that has evolved as well, where you can be a suave dressed, driving a Lambo, whatever it is that works for you, and still be very in tune. Like, it's interesting to me to watch some people like, fuck Elon Musk or whoever it is, whoever the billionaire of the day is that they're pissed about. It's like, yeah, maybe they do some weird shit, but like, check it out. If those people are conscious between their platform and their resources, you want to talk about being able to influence positive change?
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that homeboy will buy Twitter and shit whenever he
Yeah,
wants.
I don't like the fact that they kicked Trump off. Actually, I love that he kicked Trump off, to be quite frank. But that was Elon's thing. Like, hey, fuck it, you should be able to say whatever you want.
Yeah, back to balance. You see how he's a balance worker. You don't have to agree with his mediums, who he's pro or against. It's irrelevant. It's just, but you have to understand that in spirituality, you're taught to give up all things material. That's a common narrative. Don't be selfish. Don't have nice things, because that's the common narrative of spirituality. Like,
Fuck that. I like nice shit.
Fuck it. My question I ask everybody is, if you're so woke, why are you so broke? If you every astrologer gets mad at me because they're living in some fucking closet, and I'm like, well, the stars. You should understand the overlay of how it overlaps into financial stability. Like, it tells you, it's literally right fucking there. And I'm sorry you're too transcendental to you care about acquisition and objects and things, but like, I hit that because I used to be Mr. I don't want stuff and things. Until my animals got sick and I didn't have the money for the vet bills. And then guess who's accountable not to put them down? Hi, that hurt. I was like, ooh, I need to put a precedence on financial stability, because when people need things, you have to show up. I can't just show up with fucking goodwill and prayers. I mean, it's great and all. Like, I'm glad you have that as a mantra and you do that, but that's not going to actually impact things. Nothing works more palpable in this realm than having that level of stability where you can be a stable platform for more than just yourself.
Well, you can't help others until you can help yourself. If you're not squared up, you've got nothing.
Well, and going back to the destructive part of that, you can't make the world a better place if you're showing up in a different way.
A state of lack. Yeah. You can't. Nobody manifests from lack positively. You have to be in a point of abundance, which means your primary shit has. You need a house over your head. You need the lamb. Like, fuck, I have a weird list of things. I apparently need 2 of everything, because I fucking have 2 of everything. You know what I mean? Like, apparently that's how I show up my goddamn best.
Redundancy,
Yeah, that's it. Like, and so just knowing that and giving myself space, because yogis come over to my house and they're mad as shit because, I had like big SEMA trucks and I have all these nice things, but I'm not bound by my objects. I don't care about those. I don't bleed with that. I wouldn't ever bring it up unless it's in context of transformation. But I need that shit to be in a point of transformation and being worthy of those experiences, that I can adorn my life with these beautiful things and not feel like I have to be a dirtbag existence.
Yeah. Why do I have to be fucking broke to, like?
Well, because we're taught that.
And then how, especially if you're trying to conflict with the paradigm, of big government and billionaires and all this, it's like, well, if you don't have a platform and any money in the bank, like, how are you going to compete with those people?
How are you going to buy land to save the forest? I ask every hippie. All my friends are greeners. I'm a fucking greener, right? And my thing was, well, what piece of land are you taking care of, asshole? Or are you just squatting on government land all the time, yelling at people with signs? Because fuck, that's what we were doing. You're just griping at people. We didn't actually have a point where I'm like, hey, I'm constantly cultivating this piece, and when I'm done, like, for me, I took 15 acres, I'm turning into an edible forest. So when I die, I took down everything in the forest. That's a 50-year plan that would have burnt in a fire, and I've replanted everything with edible food. So when I'm dead, somebody gets a dope-ass spot. That's all. But that only came through going, hey, if I love the trees so much, I have to acquire a piece of land, and I have to take this love of trees into something more tangible other than walking in state-fed parks, because I'm not in control of that.
I need to do something.
I need to be in action, experience with it, and have an exchange, because that's why you have the calling of it. You like something. It's like an invitation for an experience, but you have to heed that calling and be willing to fuck. Like, for me, I went from being a city boy. I was living a very well-pampered, like a city cat up in Woodinville. Boy, I was just, I would call any restaurant even my first night. Everything was ordered. And I moved out into rural-ass, foot of the fucking Olympics, Mason County, zone.
I hear the heroin is great, though.
Oh, meth labs and moonshine. We have them in spades out there. Yes, sir. And to have that shell shock of like, fuck, like I live in Black Bear Valley now. Like, there's animals out here that want to eat you when you walk outside. I'm used to walking on a tailored trail all through Redmond and doing all these nice things where everything was groomed and taken out there. I was like, I got stalked for the first time by a cougar. Holy fuck. Like, I can't cross the bridge without a gun.
That happens in Woodinville, too.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, out here, it's fucking nuts. But my hippie
That's not the cougar he's talking about.
I know.
It's wine country, son.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. I think I hunt out here, sir. It's prime hunting. It's almost bow season. But yeah, for my hippie ass, I go from not being, I was very much a pacifist. I never believed in carrying a weapon or doing anything like that, to having to slowly derive a damn armament to take care of myself and everybody around me throughout the years based on my surroundings. It's been a huge shift, and it goes contradicted. Like, everybody jokes like, oh, you're like a pistol packing prophet. Because like, I carry a gun and talk consciousness. I'm like, yeah. Like, every truck has a toy. Everything has its place. And yeah, that's how we do it.
It's just, It's a tool.
A pistol packing prophet.
Well, I saw it happen to Jesus. I'm not letting that shit happen to me. He's talking conscious shit.
Hell no.
Lord, fuck. Now I would have smacked Judas upside his head and went about my business. But I read the books. I read the writing. I'm like, hey, if you start talking conscious shit, people are going to turn on you at some point. So, walk quietly, carry a big stick. You know, that sort of shit. So it was like, but that was part of the transition because, like I said, I was raised, because my dad's very much a pacifist. He's very much into, like, he never chooses conflict, ever. Like, ever. He's a man who could kill you with his fucking pinky. He's more trained than anybody I know, so he just doesn't ever do it. And here I am at every juncture, internally fighting with myself, fighting with other things. I got COVID and picked a fight with it. To challenge the narrative of what this experience should be. Exactly. It's highly confrontational by nature, whereas my dad gets it and harbors a state of peace and tranquility and just sails through it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to do prison sex shit to this fucking disease. This fucker's locked in here with me. Welcome to hell, motherfucker. It's going to be the roughest 48 hours for you.
You thought I was locked in with you.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I'm approaching my vid times. I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, oh, okay, because there's a place for that. You know, for my own internal cultivation, that's where I'm the biggest prick. Like, I'm the biggest drill sergeant. Let's fucking go, level 10. When it comes to doing anything outside, I'm the biggest softy, the most, hey, whatever you're doing, I don't have taboo. I don't give a fuck what you look like, how you do, who you're doing, what it is. I don't care if you carry a gun, don't believe in guns. I don't care what your political stance is. All I care about is that you're a good fucking person and you hold love. Boom. That's it. That's its core value. And how you fucking achieve that, everybody's different. And I'm a judgmental prick, so I probably don't agree with it. So bear with me. You know what I mean? But it's like, I can jive with who you are as a person, and I can dig that, you know? And just understanding that, that's part of this, like, I think of why we're all coming together, because we're all such different walks of life. Like, each one of us is like a whole different area. And this is the whole energy of, well, let's try to bring this stuff together, have an open platform of communication and transparency, no ideology, no pretenses, just real motherfucking people saying real things about how they're consciously evolving, what works, fucking what doesn't. You know, I have a little look behind the looking glass of the woo-woo stuff because Lord knows I'm in the field. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of that shit's sell points because it's 20% off. Please come on in. Like, you know, I don't have a business sign. I never have. You know, we use law of attraction only. As a yogi, I find it disrespectful for you to advertise. Never have done any platform, no, and that's why I don't have a platform or a footprint at all. If you find anything, it's some dated ass website from like '08 or some bullshit when I had a faux hawk. Like, you're like, is that fucking Eric? Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, because the law of attraction works. You know, like the whole secret thing, kind of. But they forgot the activating ingredients.
Dude, that's such a great example. So I haven't read The Secret, but I've gotten the Cliff Notes effectively, or
You read it.
the Chris Notes. The Chris Notes.
I'll take that.
Is that you that came up with that, Jason? I've got it written down. Somebody, it was my buddy Sean. Sean, yes, he came up with. He's like, you should call a podcast the Chris Notes, which funny side
like
point.
that.
At any rate, shit, where was I going with that? Where were we on?
The secret.
Oh yeah, it's such a great example. Thank you.
I got rewind.
It's such a great example of the problems we're running into these days. You know, like you talked to like I said, you talked to me 10 years ago about The Secret. You know, all I have to do is just visualize
board.
what I want and this. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, shut up. But
That's the sell.
but it's there actually. It is.
Well, it's part of a misinformation act on the conscious people's act. You have to understand that. There's light and dark forces, and so they'll say something that's real, like, hey, you can visualize something and manifest it, but they won't give you the activating ingredients, so you'll make a vision board, and then you'll have an experience that's not contrary to that belief system that I should be having this shit, and then you'll derive non-belief in yourself as a manifester, which is shadow alchemy. So the secret being put out, and the way it was put out, wasn't exactly a service to humanity, if you will. It was you can do things if you want, but there's, like, we're talking about these small, minute things around these higher ideology pieces, like the macro to the micro. A micro thing is make a fucking vision board and think of stupid bullshit that you think you might want. Cars, houses, relationships, whatever the fuck it is that you think that you're lacking. So it's usually what they are. That's what vision boards are. Come to find out. That's why The Secret's kind of a myth. But the emotional thing around what creates that desire, what creates that draw or that longing, and refining that process as you come into the experience, that is how you manifest things. That's what they forgot to add. They just said just create some shit and move yourself into thinking you're worthy of it. Well, how the fuck do you adjust your self-worth? What is your belief system around that anyways?
How do you do that?
Yeah, and where in life do you go, you know what, I'm a fucking better person now. I used to be a piece of shit who did this and this, but now I'm better. What? It takes a certain life moment that you value, that you say, if I did this when I used to do this, that means I'm doing this. So now I can validate this state of consciousness, which leads to those abilities to manifest. That's what manifestation is, preparation, opportunity, much like good luck. How do you do it? It seems so fluid and this and that. Like,
So easy for you.
Yeah, fuck, it's so diligent. It's every day, all day. Yeah, we don't have survival, pay the bill bullshit to worry about. Definitely, it's not the issue anymore. But we have a whole new gambit of fucking shit to be aware of. Even how you walk downstairs in the morning, say hi to your spouse, is now I'm like, well, what are you bringing into the world? 'Cause if you want to have a good day, like on the market, you better fucking bring your ace game
Better
here.
set the tone.
Yeah, you
Yep.
want to be killer in the fucking office, or you want to have your highest flow state we're talking about. Flow state starts the second you put yourself at bed the night before. That's when flow state starts for today. Because what happened when you went to bed affects how you sleep. Because fucking hey, that's how you wake up, right?
So
Yeah.
if you take all your bullshit and anger and crap and go to sleep and feed yourself booze, and
And
Dude.
numb
which I am not judging on feeding
And
yourself
last
booze.
night
Good God, I'm good at
was
that.
a banner night, almost 2 hours of deep sleep and an hour and a half of
Get
REM
it.
sleep.
Yeah.
And
Some of
I
the
went to
monitors.
bed so peaceful.
See?
Like I sat and I tried to do that, like feel the
Yeah.
inside of my body, and just was like chill and at peace. And
Well, you did the Holy
man.
Trinity, which is the mind-body-spirit correlation. You did that consciously, which
guys
is
keep
like
talking,
you
I'm gonna
mentally
go pee.
breathed into a better physical state so you could put yourself at bed so that when you slept, your dreams were in congruency with the biorhythm you want to experience. Then your spirit's like, oh, and you wake up, quote, spirit feeling good, enlivened.
Yeah. And I dreamed about somebody stealing a toilet.
Oh my God. See, that's what I'm saying. Was it an obtuse dream? Because it's always the most obtuse
so
shit
weird.
that happens. Well, because one thing we're going to work on next, actually, speaking of which, is lucid dreaming, of how to consciously
Oh,
put
I
yourself
love
in
it.
bed. Oh, because you're going to be able to run, like I run meetings before I do them for days
Yep.
beforehand with the person. So you
Yep.
can run the whole algorithm out. Oh,
Yep.
it's so fun.
Yep.
But here's the illusion. Because you're going to be so aware in the dream state, you feel like you're awake. So the narrative around what restful sleep is and isn't,
It has to change.
it's a weird one.
Oh.
And it's a hit and miss thing, and you fucks with your sleep. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just glad that we don't have like these super heavy sociological like compression around you where it's like, yeah, I might lose a fucking day or two or be groggy and it's okay, sort of a deal. But fucking learn how to do this. Totally worth
And
it.
I've done it like to the extent that I will say something before I go to bed. I'll say like,
I'll do affirmations.
I wanna fly in my dream tonight.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And so like I wake up in the morning, I'll be like, yeah, all right, cool.
Okay, that's intention and feedback work.
Yeah.
Oh, go you. Okay, so this is again, Miss Sarah naturally, intentionally doing shit. Just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of had this, I want to fucking fly at night. I'm going to decide I'm going to fly at night. So that's going to be a dual-end sword where it's like, anytime that you're not in control, it's because some piece of you, and we're not sure what piece, probably not the conscious, but a subconscious piece, like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I want to take the fucking weekend off. I don't want to play conscious observer anymore. And she's hiding in the back. It's usually a little version of us, or a little kid version that we thought is ironed out. Like, for me, I thought that I come to find out when I hit 160 feet when I was rock climbing, that the fact that my mom wasn't there when I rode a bike without training wheels mattered. Never thought of it once in my fucking life. But that memory came up and froze me dead in my tracks.
Oh, wow.
Sewing machine leg. And they're like, you have to like, help yourself. You're too high up. Like, my belay is like, I can't come up there and get you.
Yeah.
But some shit I had never fucking thought about ever bloop, popped up real over a training wheels on a fucking bike. How inconsequential of a goddamn memory.
Yeah.
But when I was up there at that height, like we're talking about those kind of zones where that's epic pass, stupid shit like that comes up to go, okay, now what, Buttercup? I had to do so much forgiving of familial bullshit in that moment so I could regain control. It was the worst place to do some self-help work. I could fucking imagine. You know, because everybody's watching you. You feel like an asshat because you're up there like having a legit emotional break, like crying, shaking, like can't get my shit in a group. All my shit is just spread out.
Oh wow.
And
your stuffing was falling out.
All of it. And all my special breath wasn't working. None of my super woo-woo techniques could work because I had never been at that place before. And it was such a game of, okay, well, what's going to work? What isn't? And I was so glad that I had done lucidity work because I was like, well, this is an experience just like when I have a dream. And I got to like back play so much dream state work in this conscious moment. So I was able to then choose a better rhythm, drop my heart rate, get my shit straight, finish the fucking climb.
Nice.
But that was a whole process. I'm going to teach you how to do that next and how to go into your lucid dreams because you're naturally doing it. So it's going to be a fun couple of months. I was telling her, like, I'm glad that her schedule is a little bit more lax because as she goes into this, there might be some, like, I used to run full fucking speed in my dreams. Like, I had, like, she's sweating. Like, there was a poor, like, I feel bad where I was sleeping at the time because there would be an outline of me and my sweat. I had this continual fucking dream. People were chasing me in the forest because I was dealing with my fight or flight all the time. And I'm running, and I was running, and I'd be breathing, and they would send me videos like, this is what it's like to sleep next to you. And I'm having full-on conversations like I'm in the military, like, giving commands and shit, and I'm running full fucking speed, and I die, and I scream. Like, it's this whole thing. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It was so intense. I felt like I said, I felt so bad whoever was sitting next to me because it was like, you're there with me, sort of a deal. And that's what...
I used to have those.
See, see.
Yeah.
Like, that's not gonna teach you how to manage this.
So- Yeah, no, mine was like walking down the street, get grabbed by like somebody on either arm, and I was a little kid, and I would get taken into like an empty warehouse, and there was a desk, and there's like this boss guy behind the desk, but you can't ever see his face.
Never's a fucking face. There's
Right?
never.
And he says, you know what you did and you have to be punished. And I had no idea what I did. And I was like trying to figure out what happened. And my punishment was being put out on a ledge of a building. And so every night that I would fall off the ledge in my dream, I would fall off my bed in real life.
That's got to be so trippy.
To the point that my mom just like stopped coming up and checking on me after a while because
she
it just
knows
kept
what that
happening.
is.
And the last time that it happened, I was standing on the ledge and I knew I was going to fall, and I gave myself a rope.
Oh, there you go.
And I never had the dream again. Yeah.
Fucking
Way to
crazy.
transcend the generational stuff. Like when I hear stuff like that in dream states, like you know what you did. It's like a generational shame. Like you've done nothing. You're in pure innocence. You're a little kid. You're just doing little kid things. And see, that's why I always talk about raw talent and skill. Because even at a young fucking age, you were this aware. Where in a lucid state, you were adding shit to the dream state.
Yeah.
Technology is just now catching up to the importance of this and what this actually happens in a dream state. And you're leaps and bounds ahead. But it's a big responsibility. Apparently, that's where your subconscious and you cross swords. Welcome to the team.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have nightmares a lot when I was a kid, and I actually as stupid as it sounds, you know those huge Garfields that they used to have that were like massive?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted one of those so badly when I was a kid, and I would dream, like I would fall asleep dreaming that I had that Garfield. And having that was the thing that like
Woke you up, sort of a deal, as your transition piece?
No, it put me in a state of abundance.
Oh, nice.
And
so you can feel
so-
that ease when that was around.
Yeah. So
There's your next tattoo, homeboy. Get it right here. It's a state of ease.
ease and abundance.
That's it. Well, because I find it very amusing because I had the same sort of process when I was little where I would go to these dead cities when I was asleep and I'd hate it because I'd be stuck in this fucking dream state. And I knew the only way I could get out was I had to jump off the top of the building and hit the ground or go through the manhole, and that's how you'd wake up. And I'd wake up like 100 miles an hour. I'd hit like free fall and like hit the fucking ground and like go through all this. I'm like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake
I'll
up.
just stay asleep.
Well, the generational fear on waking up to your greatness and facing what the road has ahead of you. They act like you can't handle those something like pain. Like, well, fuck, now I'm like almost completely covered in tattoos now. Like pain wasn't the issue. I come to find out, but little me didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so it's such a powerful narrative. It's such like generational stuff around self-initiation and self-accountability. And it happens on so many different layers of life. Thank you for sharing that about the dream state.
Thank you.
Fuck
You're
yeah.
welcome.
Come to find out, she's been practicing since day one, bitches. Was born in this shit.
Where are we
It
at?
is weird though.
Where are we at on time?
I might have to scamp here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I don't even know how long this is. It doesn't matter.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Well, hour and a half.
You guys want to wrap this one? And
Yeah.
I think
it's a good spot to
I think
high
this
note.
is a good. I like this. Like we should definitely do this one again.
Whenever you want, you let me know. I will leave. Don't tell people I leave my mountain because I have a reputation of being a standoffish prick. Thank you very much. If I don't do shit with anybody, but I will make time for this.
Nice. This has been awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, it went really well.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
all
Jess.
of you for
Thank you, man. I appreciate
being
it,
here,
too.
and thank you for finally getting off your ass and making this happen.
Thank you for the wonderful couple
Thank
for
you all
hosting.
of you guys for helping make this happen. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Lots more guests lined up. Hopefully
wait to
you like
hear
what you hear.
Can't wait.
Crazy shit.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.